Wouldst thou swallow a bag of Richards? Welcome to the 3T RPG podcast. My name is Harrison Hunt, and with me is Nikki Lambie. And of course, we've got James Clark.
Hello.
If you couldn't tell from Nick's beautiful noises just then, this is a podcast all about tabletop RPGs. And we're coming at you live from various places in England. Nick, you recently moved, right?
Yes, mate. Yes, I am.
To where?
Exactly. Very good joke. And you know what? I used to crack the same joke before I moved here, and now it's just annoying.
You're going to be hearing it for the rest of the time you're there. I was like, I know he's heard this before, but I just need to get it out of my system. Yeah, the town Nick has moved to is called where?
Yes.
Like werewolf.
Which is confusing.
No, it's W-A-R-E, but it does make me laugh because everything is like, oh, have you been to where Tesco's? And I just can't stop picturing like werewolves, but like, you know, where Tesco's or...
It just sounds like a really, where Tesco's. Every full moon I turn into a supermarket.
Yeah.
That eats people.
Oh, don't.
That would be a good Call of Cthulhu campaign.
There you go. Yeah,
Where?
people are going into Tesco's, but they're not coming back.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like it.
But yeah, we got all of our normal segments today. We got feedback, we got the news, we got what you've been slaying. Now we got the main subject where we're going to discuss the worst fantasy book ever published, and it's not the one you're thinking of. And then we're going to go to Electro Letters where we're discussing can the GM cheat?
Ooh.
All that and more coming up. There actually isn't more. It is just all that.
That's it. That's the lot.
Shall we do some feedbacks?
Please.
Yeah.
The feedback side. The feedback side. Yes, bitch, the feedback side. It's the feedback section.
Yeah, we take your comments and read them out. Yeah, feedback, bitch.
So, obviously last time we did something RPG adjacent and we talked about Dungeon Synth, and Brent Alt, he's got in touch regarding that episode, and he says, I spent my weekend playing NetHack and listening to corny Dungeon Synth tunes, and if you ever run out of episode ideas, you should consider an episode on NetHack. The possibilities in that game are mind-blowing and probably only matched by an actual tabletop session of basic Essentials D&D. Yes, have you guys ever heard of NetHack?
Can't say I have, no.
I have not.
So it's a ASCII art-based game that's basically it's a roguelike fantasy dungeon exploring game. But it's like, rather than go for complexities with graphics or anything like this, because it is a very old game, it's just got so many different possibilities and things like this. And I think, if I'm recalling correctly, I've played it a couple of times, and it's about just getting to like further and further levels of an infinite dungeon, just trying to beat your last score and things like this.
That's pretty cool.
If I'm not mistaken, but it's cool because you can play it basically on any browser, and there's about 50,000 different versions of it that you could download. So yeah, we might do that. But I'm glad that Brent got some listening advice from us.
He's a dude.
That's good. It's good to know.
Next one comes in from Lewis Rush. He's regarding the Resident Evil streams that I've been doing on our YouTube, and he says, "The fuck is this shit? Glad to hear your voice, but why Resident Evil?" I'm glad that he clearly kept himself in check there and was a bit nice about it in the middle there. Glad to hear your voice. I'm glad it's like a compliment sandwich. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
It's the wrong way around. It's like an angry sandwich.
The fuck is this
Cuss
shit?
sandwich.
What, do you want to explain?
Yeah, I'll explain. You see, what happened was I was playing Resident Evil and I pressed the share button on my PS4, and that's it, really.
That's it, and then the rest is history.
The rest is history, and now I'm a famous streamer. No, to tell you the truth, it's got basically nothing to do with our main output. But
we're just branching out,
monetized.
aren't we?
Yeah, exactly. We're not making any money off of it. It's just for a laugh, and I'm doing it at kind of random times. So if listeners ever want to, come and hang out, then that's basically what it's for. It's got nothing to do with RPGs, although they do get mentioned. We talked about Hackmaster on the last stream.
Oh, that's all right. Yeah, no, it's good. It's a good little thing. I love it. I'm going to get involved in it now I'm moved. And I think, why not? It's
It's just an excuse to hang out with listeners
exactly.
and, bullshit and talk shit. And I tell you what, I've got the furthest I've ever got in Resident Evil 1, and it's because of the listeners helping me with the puzzles. We got stuck on one for 15 minutes, and Shogun Pumba stayed late at work to help me with it.
Oh, bless him. He's a hero, that guy. So is this the remake of Resi 1?
Yeah, the one that was originally a remake that came out on GameCube and then it came out on PS4. So that's the one I'm playing.
Has it got the original voice acting?
Well, no, actually, they redid it, but it's
did
still
they do
terrible.
Chris's blood?
So,
Did they do Chris's blood? That looks like
unfortunately,
Chris's
not.
blood.
It's,
Oh no!
it's Barry. He now leans down. He just goes, "Blood looks like it's fresh."
Oh no!
But it's funny because I said on the stream, it's like this is their second attempt at it, and
It's
they
still
still
bad.
It's awful, and it's like. Anyway, but it's still amusing and great fun. But yeah, it's got nothing to do with this, and I don't.
Does that
blame
mean
you.
you're going to do the remake of number 2 later on as well?
That's what I intend to do. I'm going to do the
Brilliant.
first, all of the mainline ones, and that doesn't include 3 because it was a spin-off. It's just that they just called it 3, so I'm not doing that one. But I'm doing all the others.
Can we make sure we do Biohazard together then, so we don't get scared?
That's
Because
I
that
was,
one.
I suck at that one, and I think it would actually be really good if you and I did it together. So yeah, we'll sort that out.
I've got that on PlayStation as well, so we can jump on that. That'd be fun.
Sounds good. All right, let's stop talking about video games, right? Because people are going to get really angry.
Wrong podcast. Yeah.
Yeah. So Victor Ulansky, regarding the Dungeon Synth episode, he says, "Hi, I guess we are somehow telepathically connected because I decided to take the leap and ordered my first batch of tapes shortly before you aired the episode about Dungeon Synth. I was more of a fiendish imp from Spotify kind of guy, but the art from the boxes won me over. Keep up the good work, make more great episodes. P.S. You inspired me to run my own podcast about OSR. It's in Polish, but Harrison is 1/6, or was it a quarter, Polish, so maybe he would be able to understand a few lines. Check us out at phylacterium.pl.poland, I was going to say. Yeah, so go and listen to that if you're Polish. And yeah, I'm a quarter Polish, but I only know one word, so I will be listening. And as long as you say the word welcome in Polish over and over again, I'll be fine.
I only know,
You'll know exactly what's going on.
a curse.
What is it?
Oh, kurwa.
What's that?
That's fuck.
Take that, Victor.
Is it?
I probably pronounced it really, really wrong, so good. Enjoy that.
You daft racist.
Victor, let us know.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the email. I'm glad you picked up some tapes. I used to have a collection of them as well, but I sold them all and don't have them anymore. So that's about that.
Cool story, bro.
Cool story, bro.
I can't wait for one of the big film companies to take up the rights to that one.
I'll wait for the sequel.
Man buys tapes, man sells
Still
tapes.
hasn't got tapes. Part 2.
Yeah. I think I've. Alright, anyway, enough about that. Sean Hunt, my brother, he says, we were talking about thievery recently, and he says, "Hello there, I'm glad you guys had a chat in your episode, the one book every GM should own, about light thieving. I've got a few things, such as a sake bottle from Wagamama and some lovely Stella Artois pint glasses. Had a mate once who used to go into M&S on a daily basis and pretend to look around, steal a croissant for breakfast on the way to work, and then pretend to look around a bit more. One day he was caught and got fined for croissant theft."
Wow.
Oh dear.
Wow.
Well, I remember hearing on Russell Brand's radio show that when he was a drug addict and didn't have any money, obviously, he used to go around Sainsbury's, put stuff in his basket like he was shopping and just eat it as he was going round and then just leave.
Oh my god.
Does anyone remember like when you went shopping as a kid? Like when I was in the trolley, mum and dad would always get a bit of French stick, and I would just like slowly nibble on the end of the French stick by the time it got to the counter.
We
it was all
used to
chewed
do it
off
with,
at the top.
We used to do it with like multi-packs of crisps, so my mum would take one out and give it to me and then pay for it at the end. But you see people sometimes, it's like they are just using it like a buffet, and at the end they get to the end and just pay for all the wrappers.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird when you see that.
I've seen that.
It's like there, like munching a banana. It's like,
So you go into
Haven't
like
made
the
it
garden furniture section of Tesco, sit down, get your little bottle of gin,
Get the Barbie on the go.
get the Barbie on the go indoors,
get some coals.
and then at the end you
from
just
the outdoor section.
and then at the end you just swipe the used barbecue over the self checkout.
Still lit.
Still
Watch this one, it's hot.
You're like trying to get it through.
Just fuck.
Quick, scan it.
We got a couple of other feedbacks through. I'm just going to read one of them because I think it's probably the most important one. Yorkus Rex, regarding... we spoke about Mortis on the last episode, and And basically, today's episode is going to be about his book, which is the worst fantasy book ever written. Although Yorkus Rex, ever the internet sleuth, has realised something. He says, why is it that when I search on Amazon for the Mortis fantasy book Secrets of My Kingdom Return to Dimensions Unknown, there's only one review, 5 stars, from some fellow in the UK named Harrison Hunt. And it simply reads, amazing. Here's my explanation, right? So I originally did a probably way too long scathing review on Amazon. And then there was a festival for Dungeon Synth musicians being organised in the UK, and I was going to be the slot before Mortis was on, and I was worried that I'd meet him and he'd recognise my name, but I couldn't figure out how to delete my review, so that is why that is there.
So you amended it.
I also went back through the Dungeon Synths groups and erased everything negative I ever said about him, just in case he searched my name. Unfortunately, the festival never happened, so it was all for nothing. Yeah, I might just rewrite Actually, consider this the rewrite. I'll just put a link to this podcast on the Amazon.
Shameless promotion. Yeah, love it. Nice.
Shall we do some RPG news?
Yes. What's going on in the world?
No, it's not about the world, mate. It's about their niche.
No, I mean the world of RPGs.
Oh, okay. Sorry. You can see why I was confused.
The only world we know. Come on.
Oh, yeah. News punch. The Oath of Accessibility. That's the headline. I couldn't think of a better one. But a guy working for a Bristol Children's Hospital has released 2 D&D 5e supplements, and the money from said supplements is going to the Bristol Children's Hospital. Nice thing to do. It's a good thing.
It's very nice.
It's lovely, isn't it?
Yep. But here comes the scorn. So, what this is, right, is this guy, he's made this, but it's so patronising. So what this is essentially a subclass of paladins, right, called the Oath of Accessibility, which is the lamest thing I've ever heard. But the other supplement is an NPC for use in your games. So, James, you've played a paladin before. When you pick a paladin, right, when you get to level 3, you pick your path, which is called your oath, and it gives you certain special abilities, right? And that's basically what this is. The Oath of Accessibility is a religious order developed to creating equal opportunities for everyone, which isn't actually quite as cringe as it could be, because you could say, that you're a neutral paladin. You're a paladin of neutrality, and you think everyone should have the same opportunities, right? But here's the problem. Most of the Paladin's Oath spells, right, that they get are all revolve around, like, aiding disabled people, which isn't in and of itself a bad thing, but it's obviously got a really specific type of disabled person in mind, which is someone in a wheelchair who struggles with speech, right? And the Paladins also get 2 new abilities that just do things that already exist amongst the Paladin spells. And probably the most patronising and stupid part is the combat wheelchair.
Oh God.
Oh, no.
Nick nearly died just then.
Sorry. Oh dear.
You know what, right? It's not a terrible thing to want to be more inclusive, but bear in
No,
mind,
of course it's not.
you could play a paladin that does the things this one already does in D&D if you wanted to. That's the good thing about D&D. It's quite open like that. But here's my problem, right? I think I've said this before about similar types of things. It still perpetuates 2 really annoying stereotypes, and it's A, that all disabled people require help from other people to actually do anything worthwhile, right? When a lot of disabled people work within their limitations or work despite their limitations. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
totally.
and in this, it's like, the disabled people need a literally magical white knight if they want to get along in this world. Like, it just annoys me. And additionally, the same thing I've said before about this type of stuff, disabled doesn't necessarily mean a wheelchair. I mean, you've got,
No,
blinds
that's the
and
biggest stereotype that you could fucking label it.
That's what annoys me about it, because it's like you could be blind, deaf, have a heart condition, a lung condition, any of these things, but it's like it always comes down to wheelchairs. That's all it is. And it's like, it's kind of annoying because in an attempt to be more inclusive, it's like you're alienating so many people that if they wanted to play somebody like themselves, they could do it in D&D already. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh mate.
It's a bit dumb. It's
It's
very
quite dumb.
Kind of dumb, yeah.
I just feel like, but it's not a bad thing because he's raising money for a children's hospital, which I can't be angry about, despite how much I want to be angry about it. You know, those children
That normally makes me so mad.
freeloading scumbags. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just that thing. I think just leave it out, okay? Right? There's plenty of ways to play a disabled person in all the games already. You don't need to alienate more people. I mean, it'd be like if you did a thing about, you know, a extra supplement for including every race in the game, but left out Portuguese, or just made it about Portuguese. That's what it'd be like.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it for news, mate. It's been a slow one yet again. I mean, I'm thinking we might drop
I've got
the
a little
news
bit.
segment.
I've got a little bit of news.
Oh yeah.
Just a tiny bit. So my brother-in-law turned 30 the other day, and someone bought him D&D starter pack for his birthday.
Yes.
Shut up.
Yes. So we might have a new player soon.
We might have a new player, mate.
Who's that? Michael.
Anthony, baby one.
Anthony. Oh right, nice.
Yeah.
Well, that means there's going to be nothing to anybody, but yeah, that is a good bit of news.
it's a new person coming into the fold
Hey,
of the hobby.
it's new to us, and I like Anthony, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, there you go. We're laughing.
So anyone out there, any Anthony fans out there, they're going to be fucking chuffed, right?
They're going to be well chuffed, mate.
Well, thanks for that. Let's go on to what we've been playing, shall we?
Yes, please.
And one of these. Oi, yeah? What you slaying?
Oh, what's going on with my dry ass mouth this morning?
Dry ass.
My dry ass. Dry ass. Somebody put some moisture. Oh no!
Stop
so
it.
we've been continuing to play our Tough Guys campaign, which is a British gangster setting for Savage Worlds, and it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun. I mean, so these guys, Nick is the boss of a small branch of a gang operating in a fictional borough of East London called Walford. And
Yeah.
where we're at the moment is they killed off their main rival gang. Essentially, they've absolutely destroyed them, confronting their boss at a concert that she was holding. She was a rapper, and upon killing them, a new guy's entered the scene, and it's this guy, and he's based on a real guy. So I know you're going to laugh, but his name's Fanny Helvania Kelmedi, and he's based on a real Romanian gangster who's also called Fanny. And before I continue with what we were doing in the campaign, I want to say one of the funniest bits of TV I've ever watched was basically in Romania they have this thing where there's these singers called Manele singers. They're like gypsy singers basically. And to show off your wealth in the Romanian mafia world, what you're supposed to do is pay the most famous Manele singers loads of money and keep them on for ridiculous amounts of time during your parties to display how wealthy you are. And this gangster called Fanny is hosting a party, and he's got this singer singing for like 8 hours straight. And at one point, the singer just doesn't have any lyrics left, and he just starts going Fanny, 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 Fanny. And I was just like,
Oh my god.
and this is supposed to be badass, right?
Oh my god.
But anyway, yeah, so I appropriated that a little bit. And the Albanian mafia and this boss called Fanny, they turn up one day, and he's taking one of the players' mums out on a date, taking her to a musical, and the players all go there and confront him, and it turns out he's coming to town, and he's laid his claim on London as a gangster, as an area to do his operations, and said, that he's brought 7 of his hardest men with him and all of this stuff. And he's just trying to wave his dick around. I'm the big boy.
Yeah.
I'm taking your mum out for a date. I know where you live, so don't fuck with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's been pretty fucking nuts. So far what they have done is they have stolen a shipment of stolen limos from the Albanians. They have also stole a number of Magic the Gathering cards.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
So they did a heist for some Magic the Gathering cards. They stole some limos off the Albanians, and the Albanian mafia keep turning up in places they don't want them to. And the last straw was that one of our players, who's a big Millwall fan and a football hooligan, one of the characters, he basically was watching the TV, and suddenly he finds out that Fanny's bought his club. He's bought Millwall, the team.
Oh my god, yeah.
Now that was the last fucking straw, and the guys built up so much heat during the Magic the Gathering heist.
Yeah.
Killed innocent people, shot into a crowd of protesters, killed 3 policemen, and it's so they figured they would hit 2 birds with one stone. They take some of the evidence from the Magic the Gathering shop, the safe, and smuggle it into the Millwall grounds to frame Fanny for the robbing, and they're going to kill him at the same time.
That's it.
Yeah, so where we left it off was that there was an additional little thing that one of the players, had got a bunch of football hooligans to come and help him in a fight. So what we're going into starting the next game is a mass battle between the Albanian Mafia, a gang of football hooligans, the Albanian boss, and all of the player characters as well. So,
Oh, Lord.
yes, it's going to be a huge fucking riot in a football stadium, basically. So that's where we're
It'll
at.
be brilliant. Yep.
It's been really fun, and actually that was a much quicker summary than I thought it was going to be. But one of the funniest things is that so contacts is a big deal in Tough Guys and Wise Guys, and the way it works is you can spend a penny once per session as a team to use a contact of the criminal underworld. So you might say need some information, or you might want somebody to forge documents, and this is what actually happened, because, Nick, you wanted to legitimise the mansion. They basically stolen a mansion and you wanted to forge paperwork. But the guy that had previously forged paperwork for them was this little kid. And when you've already called in a favour from somebody, you need to then do them a favour to use their services again. So Nick asked the little kid what he wants. The kid says he wants a Blue Eyes White Dragon Magic the Gathering card. And thus the heist was born.
It's so funny that that's the sole reason for this elaborate heist that really, really got us in the dirt.
Yeah, I mean, what happened was we used the quick heist rules from Wise Guys, but the guys failed. So the police turned up and it turned it into a full-on shootout instead. And then they killed 3 policemen by accident because one of them decided to ram their limo into the side of the police car, not realising that when you ram somebody else, both cars take the damage. You roll for it twice, but both cars take the damage. So it's like, yeah, so basically everyone ended up almost dead, and the police were dead, and several onlookers were dead. Your driver, who you'd only met that fucking session, died.
Oh my God, Velvet. Yeah.
Yeah, that was sad.
It was quite sad.
That was sad. It was insane. Like, this game always just goes into like turbo
Do you know what
drive
I've
so
noticed?
unexpectedly.
If you ever get people in RPG committing a crime, it doesn't matter if it's Wise Guys or anything else, they will go to ridiculous lengths to make sure they don't get caught, and that's what's going on now, because it's like we've got to frame him. So they've now nicked her.
We can't get busted. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So they've taken all the cards out of the safe, and they're going to find a fence to sell the magic cards. But they're planting the safe in the Millwall grounds. Now, the funniest thing was to get the hooligans on side, because the party had previously used the Millwall supporters as an underground contact for help in a fight, right?
Yep. Oh my God.
So they had to do them a favour, and the Millwall supporters said, "Look, Tottenham beat us today, and they're playing Arsenal later on. So we want you to go to the Tottenham game, and we want you to streak across the pitch and really put them off their stride." So Ryan, he basically. He had to streak, and James, your character, helped him, but he had to streak across the pitch, and he decided to do it wearing a mask that looked like the Albanian leader.
Yeah, but he did it so badly.
He crit failed on the mask making, so I'm not going to go into details here, but let's just say it looked deeply racist what he was doing. But he smashed it so hard. We did a dramatic task for him to try and run across the pitch and get away. Right, the failure means you get caught. And he smashed it.
Yeah.
He did because it's like an extended skill challenge, and he got most of his successes in the first 2 rounds. And I'm like, you have absolutely killed it. And he's like, wait, can I do one more thing before I go? I want to run past the ball and try and score a goal. And
oh yeah.
But the funny thing was,
Just punted it, didn't
he
he?
punted it. It was amazing, and then the game had to stop to determine whether or not that counted as a weather hazard.
As a goal or not.
And, yeah.
Mate, it was so good.
And the
Do
best-
you remember when he exited through the tunnel as well?
Yes, and he part of his task. He previously had set up a change of clothes in the tunnel leading out of the pitch. So he smashed it. He got away with it, and it was quite funny
popped out
because
the other end looking like a steward.
another character said that he wanted to put a bet on how much overtime there'll be, right? And so he puts the bet on, and of course Mo Exotic absolutely smashes it. The game has to stop to discuss whether or not that counted as a goal. And it's like all the bits sort of fit into place, because then James Tomasin, he rolls for gambling, wins, and I'm like, yeah, it was exactly 15 minutes, and it was caused by Mo Exotic. And you know, when those moments in
Perfect.
an RPG happen where it all just links up, it's just like, yes.
Oh, mate. Yeah.
Mate,
It's been one of my favourite campaigns ever. And I'll say that about every fucking campaign, but it's so good.
I was thinking the other day, you know, and this isn't me blowing my own trumpet, it's because the genre is so good to play, and I think, you know, the triumvirate of RPGs is always fantasy, sci-fi, post-apocalyptic, or cosmic horror, right? So maybe it's like 4.
Yep.
But I think Gangsters should be the other mainstay, because it's so much fun.
Totally, mate. It is. It really is good
awesome.
fun. You have this kind of power, and obviously because you're, you know, an underground criminal or whatever, and you just think about things differently. So normally, like, if you're just a normal party, like, you know, I don't know, you have to be a bit more. Don't have to be balanced, but you tend to be a bit more balanced. But with criminals, it's just you're just in it for yourself and the people that you care about.
you have
so
these-
it makes it really interesting dynamic.
They always have these weird twisted morals where it's sort of like,
Yeah.
they have standards, but it's like
Yeah,
people they don't know,
yeah.
they're not really people. And the funny thing is when we've been doing the downtime, obviously, James, your character has been after this girl called Tiffany, and it's been a rocky road trying to get here.
Oh my god.
Basically, yeah, James's character's been trying to get with this girl called Tiffany, but to get a better price on a holiday, he chatted up a travel agent lady and booked a date with her, and then Tiffany found out that the woman from the travel company called Leisha was having a date and wanted to go with James's character to spy on the date and see how it goes, not knowing that her date was actually with James's character. Are you with me here, listeners?
Oh.
Essentially, let's put it this way. James's character had a date with 2 different women, the one he really likes and the one he doesn't like, on the same night, right? And he was going to try to just turn up and like do a sitcom-style thing. But what he did is he... you bribed Keegan, right? Yeah, you tell the story, James.
Yeah. I bribed
go
a guy who looks like me, who looks similar to me, who's basically in our employ. And I was just like, I'll go here, treat the girl nice, and just, I dressed him in my clothes and stuff. And then he's hot on Tiffany too, so he was like, no, like I don't want to go on a date with anyone else but Tiffany. I was just like, look, just go on this date and treat her nice. And then how much money I give him? 250
It was
quid,
150
Yeah.
quid.
Oh, 150 quid. And I was just like, yeah, look, that means he'll be able to woo her. But at least this fool just went spending crazy, ignored
no
everything.
concept of cash.
Didn't meet up with the woman, and then it all went
Just
a
put a
bit
pint of
mental.
nasty together, didn't it?
Yeah, because Keegan,
Yeah.
he spent all his money on the way in. So he's like thinking he was flash for the cash. And then he's...
Oh, didn't he tip the bouncer like £200 just for letting him
It
in?
was 50 quid, and then he got to the bar and was like, hey, I'm pretty flash, I'll buy everyone at the bar a drink, innit? And then the woman was like, that'll be £185, please. And yeah, so he was really upset. So he was supposed to get, be a decoy for the date that James didn't want, but he ended up going around trying to sort of slosh together a moody pint from all the dregs.
Yeah.
He was minesweeping.
Is that what you call it?
Minesweeping. I didn't even know.
Yeah, that's what you call it when you are swiping pints from other tables. It's called minesweeping.
Oh.
If you're just nicking the dregs, it's probably called bottom feeding.
Oof, that's so gross, though. But yeah, so he was doing that, and in the end, Leisha noticed James, saw him with Tiffany on his arm, and got really angry, and it ended up in a fucking crazy fight. But what was your solution, right? What was your solution to all of this, James?
How do we resolve this situation?
Look, we ended up getting this bottom-fed pint, and then Tiffany was sipping at it, And then I wanted her to drink loads of it, but she was yapping off at leash, and then they were about to like get into fisticuffs and stuff about this. So I just thought, fuck it, I'm gonna knock Tiffany out. And just
It's funny because there's no good way of spinning this, is there?
someone else. Oh God!
But yeah,
Oh,
so
go on,
James has a
continue.
blackjack, and it's basically they get -1 or 2 to resist knockout blows. So James was just like,
Yeah.
look over there, you know, like of mice and men, and just slaps her around the back of the head. They cart her unconscious body off to the chip shop, and then when she wakes up, James is like, she's like, oh my God, what happened? And James is like, he's like, oh, I don't know, you fell over, and then, but he failed his persuasion roll, and Tiffany's just like, no, I remember exactly what happened. She stands up to leave, and who's that at the door?
Oh, no.
It's Keegan with a ring, and she says yes. So after 14 sessions of gaming of James trying to woo Tiffany and finally getting a date, it ends up with her marrying someone else.
We've got a marriage on, we can't.
But the next session, basically, Keegan has booked the funeral for the same day that James's characters booked the funeral. He's booked the wedding for the same day as James's nan's funeral.
That's it, yeah. Oh, yeah, shit.
So that's what we're going to do next session. After the mass battle, depending on who survives, we will see. And the plan is to enjoy the whole funeral, but also try and ruin the wedding. But we don't know how it's going to go yet.
Oh, my goodness me. Never a dull moment in Wolford, is there?
Yeah, that's tough, guys, man. It's been crazy, and I'm at the point now where it's like 14 sessions, and it still feels so fresh, and I still don't know what's going to happen.
I was going to say, is it 14 that we've done already? Because it feels like we're only just starting to scratch the set. Like we're actually, you know, it's taken 14 episodes essentially to get to a point where we're actually a kind of
You've got your own autonomy. Do you know what I mean?
Proper business, yeah. Do you know what I mean? Whereas before we've just been setting up, we've been trying to get things together. Now the cash is starting to come in. We've got a couple of business ventures going on. It's starting to feel like the hard work's paying off. But it's like 14 episodes in.
Yeah, I mean it's nuts.
Worth it.
It's really nuts.
So worth it.
I'm enjoying the fuck out of it.
Yeah, same.
But that's it for Tough Guys. I just really wanted to give a quick mention. I haven't been that good with it this year, but Savage Con online is happening again this year. It's completely free. Just go to Facebook and look for Savage Con, the UK's only Savage Worlds convention. And yeah, we're doing it online. It's going to be on Discord. GM sign-ups are open. I'm going to hopefully... Well, I'll speak to you, James, because James is basically our online
events manager.
No, what do you call it? What is it? Like a webmaster? You're the webmaster. So
You're the webmaster. WM.
yes. So yeah, basically, we'll get player sign-ups done very soon, and it's going to be on May the 29th, which is a Saturday.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, and
now
it's
I'm
just
moved,
basically
I'm going to get mine up as well.
Yeah, absolutely. There's we've got a couple of games already. The one I'm running this time is going to be Savage Golden Axe. So
Yes.
should be a good laugh. And we've got quite a few games already booked, and it's just a whole day of Savage Worlds games, and you can book them for any time you want. And last year it was very fun. We had an after party on Discord as well.
I was going to say, we're doing after party again because that was incredible, crazy, and fun and scary. So yeah.
Yeah, and so come along, Savage Con. Just look it up on Facebook there, and come along. That is it for what we've been saying, ladies and gentlemen. Should we do the main subject, the worst fantasy book ever published?
Been looking forward to this. Yes, please.
Are you sure?
No, actually, because it's worse than I remember. And do you know what? I think it's worse than I remember because I've had to buy it twice. Do you know what I mean? I hate it that little bit more now.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into it.
More.
Main. Subject. Magic. Main. Subject.
Tokyo.
Main. Subject.
So I've spoken about The Void before, right? A book written by a colleague of mine, and that was probably the worst book I've ever read. But despite his best efforts, it was never published. It's one thing to write a shit story, but for a publisher to pick up something truly, truly awful and get it printed for the masses, well, there are some fantastic examples out there, such as A Gronking to Remember by Lacey Noonan, or any of Bill Cosby's books, which, yes, I was looking up some of the worst books ever published, and apparently Bill Cosby had an illustrious writing career. So
I bet.
But amongst all the trash, the Dan Brown novels, the celebrity autobiographies, there is one book just about everyone agrees is the worst ever published. And it goes by the name of Eye of Argon, and it was written by Jim Thies in the 70s. And we did a dramatic reading of it on this podcast a while ago, Nick.
Yes, we did.
You probably don't remember, it was a long time ago.
I do.
But yeah, published in a science fiction fanzine, this story was full of grammatical errors, bizarre language, strange nonsensical plot elements, and this novel became infamous among literary circles and was turned into a game widely played by students, where players would have to read as much of the story aloud as they could without laughing, and if you laughed you would usually take a drink, but it also meant you would go on to the next player's turn. But that book is the one that has the phrase, his belly jiggled like an upset tub of jelly. And there's something almost poetic about that.
Yeah,
but,
it's beautiful.
What if I told you I've found a fantasy book that slips to depths far further than the Eye of Argon? What if I told you it makes even less sense and displays even less aptitude for storytelling or world building? You tell me I was mad,
say, why
right?
the fuck was it
I'd
published?
say no way. I'd say
no way, girlfriend.
no way, girlfriend.
You be tripping. But yeah, I found it, lads. And no, it isn't an Amazon self-published book. It's a book by Mortis, the inventor of the dungeon synth music genre. So before we begin looking at the book, I should clarify that this is the second part, really, to our dungeon synth episode, where we explain the rise of Mortis in the music world. But I'm going to give a little recap. So Mortis is a musician, probably most famous for his short time in the spotlight during the new metal era. Known for dressing as a goblin creature while he plays. I've got into a creepy voice.
Oh, it's a bit creepy.
The little goblin, aren't I sweet? So yeah, Mortis, he spent a few weeks at the top of the charts in the early 2000s, but before his Marilyn Manson-esque industrial tunes, he made a name for himself underground. Probably literally, being that he's a goblin, right?
That's true, yeah.
He was making ambient tracks with a fantasy theme, creating a genre which he called dark dungeon music. I'm a goblin.
I love DDM.
Yeah, so that's him. That was it. Hello?
That's it.
You still
That's
there,
the end.
Mortis?
Yes.
We've got him here today.
Good to have you here. Wow. So what inspired you to write this book? Well, this bit isn't working. Anyway, after the crash of new metal, Mortis, he went back to his underground roots and continued making dungeon synth albums for a much smaller audience, returning to what he calls Era 1 of Mortis. Cringe. Oh, I know.
Go back to basics. Oh,
He's such a narcissist.
I know, man. He really is, right? Believe me, you're gonna see a lot of that during this bloody episode. But those who didn't know about Mortis's roots in weird electronic music were probably a bit miffed about his exit from the metal scene. And I think this is very much illustrated by very well by a YouTube comment on one of his recent live performances, and it reads thusly: "What the fuck? I kept waiting for the rest of the band to appear. I mean, seriously, the guy just comes out and plays Skyrim music for an hour." It's the fact that he said Skyrim music. It always stuck with me.
Skyrim music. That's brilliant.
So, while his dark ambient, so-called Era 1 music isn't for everyone, there is one thing the Dungeon Synth community loves, and it's tat. T-shirts, stickers, badges, cassette tapes, trading cards, Mortis, plushies, patches. They lap this shit up. And the good thing is, Mortis, he's no stranger to tat, right? Every day, and that's not an exaggeration, every day I get an email from his website informing me of a slightly altered album on cassette that he's releasing, or a patch, or a button, or a tote bag, and that is literally something he sells.
Wow.
If there was something like the least dark dungeony thing I could possibly think of would be a tote bag. You know?
Yeah.
Or a badge.
There's a tote bag with my face on it.
I like dark music. Look at my pin badge, it says so. Do you know what I mean? It's just a bit.
That's how you prove credentials.
Yeah. I've killed 15 men in the field of battle. It says so here on the shiny badge.
I love Dungeon Synth.
Basically, Mortis, he loves tat. And amongst collectible Mortis tat, though, there is one holy grail. which is his book. You see, his dungeon synth music all takes place within a universe of his own creation, with song titles like The Black Wizards, The Song of a Long-Forgotten Ghost, and probably the worst one, Army of Conquest / The Warfare in brackets Ever Onwards.
Bloody hell.
Now, a man dressing as a goblin jumping around a stage playing a keyboard is a bit cringe, but his songs are quite great, and they all allude to this world that exists within his brain box. And in 2001, as he transitioned into the industrial era, he finally put all of his world down onto paper. Nearly 8 years of material about his world. Poems, illustrations, musings, a deep dive into the world that this man spent 8 years working on. The book...
8 years.
The book's title, Secrets of My Kingdom.
Oh.
He's such a twat.
Now, I do find Mortis's fantasy music quite evocative. It gets your imagination going. It has, despite its awful production and very cringe qualities, as we've no doubt demonstrated, it has, some transportive qualities. But can the book that took 8 years to complete really live up to what we all imagined back in 1993? I'll let you have a guess. You've seen the title of the episode, right? So, the first edition, right, that he made came out back in 2001, just when Mortis was transitioning over to industrial metal and moving away from Dungeon Synth, and only 50 copies were printed, right? So this version is lost to time, pretty much. But when Mortis came back to Dungeon Synth and realised the money he could make peddling tat to idiots with more money than sense, it was then he had an idea. A reprint of the original material was planned with bonus interviews at the back and a new foreword by the man himself, along with fantastic artwork by David Thierry, redrawing the old crappy artwork from the original. And in 2018, this new version was released under the name Secrets of My Kingdom Return to Dimensions Unknown. Now, this is important for context, because not only did the book take 8 years to complete, but imagine hearing about it, being a huge fan, and waiting 18 years to get your hands on this. Can you imagine the hype when this first was re-announced and they were doing a proper print run and you could finally hear about this world you've been hearing about for 18 years? Right? Just get that into your head, okay? Because if you're the Mortis fan and this is the one bit of tat that's always eluded you and you think it's going to be amazing, I tell you what it is, you would never believe in a million years, right? But anyway.
I think you'd gouge your eyes out if this happened.
Well, quite, exactly. And it's quite telling about the book's quality from the first page of the book is that Mortis, in the introduction, says that he hates the book, hates the name of the book, and didn't want to republish it, but he says the fans kept asking for it. Now, that's my first little gripe here, right? Because if you didn't want to republish it, no one was forcing you. Let's call it how it is, right? You saw an opportunity for money,
I can't believe you're
Mortis.
doing this to me, you lot. I can't believe you lot are doing this to me.
Oh, you've really forced my hand. Meanwhile,
lucrative contract. Yeah.
Goblins love gold. We know this, all right?
Well, that's true. That is
They
true.
are greedy baggers.
Exactly. And Mortis is sitting on a pile of gold at the moment, laughing.
Like a fucking dragon.
I should say that Mortis did actually say on Facebook, he says that he hates the accusation that he only did this for money. But if he didn't only do it for money, then why did he do it?
Wait. Yeah,
if he didn't want to republish
what
it,
did he do it then?
what's the other reason?
There's no other reason.
I won't tell you why, but I didn't do it for money.
Yeah, so he also alluded to the fact that he's making shitloads of money off of his job working at an old people's home, which is actually quite cool. But I like to imagine him in the full makeup with a goblin mask
I
on,
hope
just
he
serving
is.
cups of tea.
Walking around pushing tea, yeah.
That goblin's been back today.
So, okay, we got to get into the book, and it is, I've got to be honest with you listeners, it is really, really weird. And before we dive in, I feel like I need to describe what it actually is, right? So, this Mortis, he used to have a strange delusion that we talked about in the last episode, / mental illness, where he believed he was the god of another universe of his creation, and that by putting down his thoughts on paper, the parts of the universe would come to life. And this book is all about that universe. It's an attempt at a detailed setting book depicting the inner workings of Mortis's mind world. So I'm just going to read the first page after the foreword, and we're going to play a little game, right? So every time you cringe during this dramatic reading, just say the word cringe, okay? And listeners, you can play along at home, and this will be a good way that we can sort of measure the quality of the first page of the book. So the chapter is called The Early Visions, and I'm just going to open it up. reflections of horizons dark.
Cringe.
In all in all the candles that I burn, I see formations of horizons dark, and in my mind, I hear voices cry so sad. Behind
Cringe.
behind the forests yonder, what do they hide? In my nightmares, I can see what they hide. So evil, yes. This place seems familiar in a way. It feels right, yet the sadness is ever here, it seems. Fires draw near but will not hurt me.
Cringe.
And I look upon the dark heavens, never trying
Cringe.
to count the stars that I know little of now, contain secrets I
Cringe.
later learned. I look
Cringe.
at me. Okay,
Cringe.
right, I'm stopping it there. Look, you get the fucking picture. You get the picture, right? Okay.
What a
Do you know
cunt.
what fucks me off about
What a
this,
cunt.
right? And Nick, you pointed this out. I sent the guys this page on our WhatsApp group, and Nick pointed this out. When he says, "I see the forest so dark, what do they hide?" The book is called Secrets of My Kingdom. But it's specifically the secret about what the forests hide is still a secret. So if we're not going to learn the secrets, what are we doing here?
It's fucking called Return to Dimension Unknown. How do you give someone a map for that? Well, we don't know what it's called, this dimension. We're returning to it, but we don't.
Now, I know what you're thinking, right? Because this is what I thought when I first read this fucking book. This first page is just a little poem that serves as a prologue, right? But it isn't.
Yeah.
The whole book is written like this. The entire thing. It's just vague nonsense free verse gesturing towards a setting with very little substance. What do we learn about the setting in that book? That there is a forest that he made that he doesn't know what's in there, right?
Yeah, that's it. He doesn't know it.
Everyone's got
it
a
tortures
fucking
him. He's
secret.
very sad.
The secrets of my kingdom that not even I know. Okay, so what's the point then? What's the point? It's like me writing a setting book about Mars having never been there. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
I think Mars is.
but that's what we're talking about, right? So we learn just about nothing from that page, but maybe I'm being a bit harsh because the second poem, right, and I'm doing that in air quotes so hard, right, does have some details, and it's where we begin to see him incorporating himself as the god figure of his own mind universe, and it starts.
Twat.
Okay, he is a twat, but I should say that he has since realised that he was mentally ill at this time.
Yeah.
But anyway, it starts, I have a terrible vision, a vision of my universal kingdom that awaits, the kingdom that spread its wings to the edge of the universe. Now, he also talks about himself as in not the Mortis character, but the god, but Harvard Ellefson, not elephant. The man. So basically, Harvard Elephant and Mortis are two separate characters. Mortis is a god that's inside Harvard's body that creates the universe, but also sort of with Harvard. It's a bit weird, right? But anyway, so here's a line, right? This is a line. The visions are gladless as the mind of one I knew, as gladless as him when he was torn apart for being himself.
Cut my life into pieces. This is my last resort. Suffocation, no breathing.
So what?
What he's saying is that Mortis, the god that lives inside his body, is saying that the universe that he created is miserable, just like the body he inhabits, who was a guy from our Earth that got torn apart for being himself, which is the most emo thing. So basically, it's Mortis it's Mortis the author saying like, people try to judge me, man, just for being myself. It's like not only cringe, but it just makes so little fucking sense. And it's like the type of moody poetry a 13-year-old might write. And can I just say, like, I picked this book up earnestly in the first time, tried to enjoy it. It's a book of vague poetry. Was that anything like what people imagined the book would be like? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so weird. But anyway, so from this second poem, we can gather that Mortis is being housed inside a bloke from Norway who is really sad, and also that Mortis rules a kingdom which is equally miserable. And instead of fixing this, right, by simply thinking happiness into existence, he just writes moody poems. We know, right, that it doesn't actually get explained until a later poem, but we know that Mortis can create things simply with his mind in this setting, right? Mm-hmm. So why is he worried about how miserable the kingdom is? If he wants a PlayStation, he can have it.
Yeah.
Anyway, the
isn't it?
second poem concludes with him saying he likes to go round in an infinite desert searching for caves to plunder on the back of a black unicorn. And this is also where the writing really shits the bed, because it also mentioned that there are other castles about. Now, I know that sounds like a weird thing to say, because with the line, there are other castles about, the use of the word other suggests that a castle has been mentioned prior to this, which it hasn't, which makes it more baffling that it also mentions that there are other immortal wizards in these castles, despite no previous mention of any immortal wizards. And I can't stress this enough, right? Within this setting, Mortis, the character, is so powerful, he needs to think to bring something into existence, and yet he still needs to ride a unicorn around when he could just think himself to any location he wants to, or think up a flying laser hover car with donuts for wheels.
Exactly.
But he goes for slowly riding around on a unicorn through a desert. And why is he plundering the deserts he made to see what is there?
He knows what's there, unless he got really pissed and can't remember, and it's like him going into his like drunken world.
Yeah, unfortunately, he thought up a bunch of barrels of booze, and then the next day he's like, bloody hell, what was I thinking about last night? What's all these caves?
Castles are wizards. There's castles and wizards everywhere.
There's loads of wizards. Bloody wizards.
He thought himself amnesia.
Yeah. That's the problem with that power, because if you think for a second, if you think, what would it be like if I had amnesia? And then you're like, oh no. I've got amnesia. I've done it again.
He's like, oh, do I?
But then he just needs...
What is amnesia? Do I have it? Fuck.
Like, let's have a recap of everything we know so far after the first two poems. There are other castles, other wizards, and he rides a unicorn around in an infinite desert. Dark, eh? It's dark shit. But the next poem is actually set before any of the others, and it basically details his powers to create stuff by thinking about it, and how Mortis managed to leave the body in Earthworld and go over to his mind universe. And the next one talks about a new character called the Tyrant and the Keeper of Keys, or the Lord of Time Walls. They're all the same name for one character, right? And I know what you're thinking, right? The Tyrant, the Keeper of Keys, the Lord of the Time Walls. Sounds interesting. You can't wait to find out more about this guy. Evocative names. And we should find out about this guy, because the poem...
They're all song names, aren't they?
Well, they probably are, yes. But... this poem is all about this character, and a whole 2 lines are dedicated to him, guys. We learn that he was born,
Oh my God.
and that everyone hates him. And right, this is the funny part: even trees and water hate him, whatever that means. And then we
He
just
tries to drink a bottle
Mortis...
of water and it just stays in the bottom of the bottle. Don't come out.
Not today.
Just nope. He walks towards a tree and it bends away.
Slaps him as he walks
Branch comes out of nowhere. Yeah. So he's like he started a poem and attempted. He's gone, right, I'm going to create a new character. 2 lines, and he goes straight back to just vague angsty musings about how Mortis is really unhappy and rules over a miserable shit kingdom, right? I mean, but yes. Now the next one is called the Stargate. And in this one, Mortis, the character, basically travels via gates visible only to him to search for talented wizards to populate his world. Something he could achieve just by thinking about it. There's a great line, though, and this just like completely epitomizes the angst of this so-called setting book. I feel no sympathy for their crying newborn. Why should I? Mostly they'll grow up to be ignorant peasants. Although I think you're kind of getting the picture here, guys, right? It's basically an angsty poetry book passed off as a setting book written by a man with no talent, okay? And
It's all about himself as well.
exactly, and he made a universe so paper thin it's basically invisible, and describes it in the dumbest, most egregiously moany way he possibly can. And just when you get some semblance of a setting, he'll suddenly stop talking. He'll just stop suddenly building up the setting and start talking about himself and how unhappy he is again, or how he can create stuff with his mind. Those are the 2 subjects that every poem is about, without fail, right? And the universe, as very core, makes absolutely no sense, because another detail we learn in the poem entitled The Black Wizards is that everything Mortis creates has his will injected into it. So the reason trees hate the Tyrant is because Mortis hated him too. So trees, even inanimate objects, have his will, right?
Right.
But if he hated the character, why did he think him into existence in the first place?
Can't he just think him away? Oh, that key for a key. You know what? Bing! Gone.
Yeah, or he could just think, and he's a nice guy. And also, if
I feel that.
Mortis's will is injected into everything, why does he dislike that guy? Because the guy surely has the same goals in mind that Mortis does, and does whatever the fuck he wants.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they're just extensions of him, so he should love it because he loves himself.
Maybe that's why he hates him so much. Oh, he's a yes man. I hate him.
yeah, that's what it is. Oh, fucking kiss ass. He just does everything I say without fucking question. I hate him. And not only that, right? But at some point, Mortis makes a tower, an infinitely tall tower, black, of course, and it's like his lair, right? And nearby is a prison made of crystal, which is guarded by the Black Wizards. Again, I can't stress this enough, and I'm sorry to keep bringing this up, but why does he need guards to guard a prison of his enemies when everything in the universe is created by him and has his will? If he wanted them to stay put in prison, they would, because his intentions are automatically transmitted to everything in the universe. So it brings to mind the question as to why these people would commit crimes in the first fucking place.
Crazy. Did you also say a black tower and a crystal palace?
Yes, very dark tower, isn't it?
Does he just rips that straight out of Stephen King's Dark Tower, or what?
Yeah, he's done that, but with like about a 1,000th of the talent, basically. And you know, this shit keeps coming up because in the very next page he tells us that the use of time-telling devices such as sundials or clocks are banned in his universe, right? And the use of them is punishable by the confiscation of one's mind.
Right.
Unless Mortis, the god, has the IQ of a tree, which is apparently higher than we expect in this universe, why would he allow time devices to even exist if he hates them so much? And why are people who share his will doing stuff he doesn't want them to do? I don't get it.
And once you take their minds away as punishment, does that mean that there's just a load of like mindless bodies sitting about?
Just gibbering.
You can't have your brain back
Zombies.
until I tell you.
For creating a watch which you couldn't have done in the first place.
Yeah.
And at
Guarding a prison that no one's in because no one would be bad.
Exactly, and to be fair, he could just make a prison that's inescapable. He could just think that into existence. But anyway, they shouldn't be there in the first place, but if they are, they couldn't escape because he would just make it inescapable. But anyway, look, at the end of this poem, once again, we get more meaningless nonsense about how Mortis is the king, and it says, I reign above what I create, for that is written shall be adopted as the fundamental rule everywhere, and so another brief encounter with the Observer of Stars is coming to an end.
Cringe.
Exactly, and he calls himself the Observer of Stars, and he's like, at this point, I did write in my notes, you can see that I've written that, like, I was shouting because I was getting really annoyed at this point. And it's like, I just, shut the fuck up. We get that you're the king. We get that everything you think comes into existence. We don't need you to remind us on every page. But the poem entitled Destroy the Crystal Lake is next, and this is where we get a little bit of world building. In this we learnt that Mortis accidentally created corners of the universe that he can't remember, right? So our theory is true. Because he got
pashed.
This is what's funny about it, right? So everything in the universe has his will, but he heard a rumour, right, from someone in his universe that someone called the Rainbow King is ruling over an opposing, like, light-based land, right? A kingdom in the corner of the universe that he can't see, and the Rainbow guy has cried and made a lake of crystal from his tears. But here's the thing. I don't know how he made okay, so let's say he's made so much stuff he can't remember all of it, right? Okay, that's fair enough. But a bloke turning up that he doesn't know how he got there? Who's his arch nemesis? Right. Now,
he could just think away.
Yeah, exactly. And the funny thing is we're going to do another cringe game here. So I'm going to read you the poem. Let's see if we can get through the whole thing here. But I'm going to read the final... Maybe I'll just read the whole poem. But this is the Destroy the Crystal Lake. Here we go. Right. Just imagine me in a high back leather armchair with a cigar.
Yep.
And you're just coming in, and I'm like, oh, hello. Destroy the Crystal Lake, down there below the mountain foots, beyond the, seemingly, endless woods where no good goblins and ever nasty trolls hide their felon vicious-looking faces from the sunrise.
Cringe.
There, where paths exist only in daylight, for these woods are bewitched of old, and there are there are but a few secret passages in the night dimly lit by the stars of wisdom.
Cringe.
Down there is to be found a valley not yet darkened by the shadow of my tower. Legend has it that that is where the Rainbow King's tears were shed, and darkness cannot pervert it. I'm going to skip a verse here because this is really bad. Now behold the gust of old black wings beating and charging towards that valley beyond the goblin woods, towards that valley where happiness seems to prevail. Cringe! And see, a female is resting by the lake at the end of the
fucking
woods.
cringe.
And is her not hair... What? And is not...
Is her not hair?
Is not her hair beautifully dark? Question mark. You tell me, mate. You fucking tell me.
Yeah, you wrote it, mate.
Cringe.
The next guest before the throne is lying before my sore red eyes, but this place an intruder unwelcome. Who made this place? You did. Who made this place exist? You did.
You.
And shall I bind this place to me and pervert it with evil? Shall I hereby
fucking
chain it
cringe.
to my ever-growing landscape of time? Shall I destroy this crystal lake?
Sure, do it. Destroy yourself, mate. Do it, please.
But who made this place? It's like it's like when you're drunk and you wake up and you find like a half-prepared sandwich on the side. Did I
Where
do
did this come from?
Well,
What I want to know is who upset the Rainbow King so much that he cried a lake.
And also, the poem contradicts himself because he's saying that's an area where happiness prevails. And this guy's so fucking unhappy that he cried an entire lake of tears. All right? That is not the sign of a happy person. Mortis, he must... The character, the god, must be fucking stupid because he's like, wow, this place is lovely. This guy's been crying for a
so
year.
happy here.
Yeah, so that was only chapter 1. Lads, bear in mind, we're 36 pages in here and it's starting to take shape. I'm just going to spoil it now. It doesn't evolve much beyond this. We only ever get the tiniest detail about anything.
My main goal is to blow up and then act like I don't know nobody.
So yeah, that chapter was called The Early Visions, and beyond being really emo and really poorly written and lacking in depth, one thing you'll likely notice is that it's not really organised in any way. For example, mentioning other castles before any mention of castles has ever happened. And you know what, I read poetry because I'm a prick, and often the poems might be grouped by theme, or they might be ordered in chronological order if they're attempting to tell some kind of story. And this book has got a kind of meta plot, right? There are some very minor plot threads that run along in the background, but it's ordered simply in the order he wrote them. Or now I'm thinking that it might just be in the order that he gave to the publishers, right? Because there's kind of a hint that the poems have been published in the wrong order. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think he just picked all his papers off his desk, gave it to... Who is it?
Threw them around.
Cult Never
Pick
Dies.
them back up.
Yeah, pick them back up, and then just gave it to the publisher. There you go, publish that. Shut up.
Sorted.
Shut up.
Put in some chapters.
Yeah, so that's what I think, and I just think that's really, it's the laziest way of doing things. Or maybe if he'd have just grouped it in chronological order, or a way that made the world building more fun. Maybe start with the creation myth of your own universe, but instead, obviously, he decided to do it in chapter 2, which is called An Ever and Onwards. And the world creation myth is the first poem in chapter 2, and guess what? Chapter 2 is the only other chapter too, so it's only a 2-chapter book. So he clearly got bored and stopped this, right? But
wow.
So yes, it opens with the world creation myth of Mortis's universe. Now, that has already been explained about 10 times, but now he retcons the whole thing, right? So essentially, the Rainbow King made it all, not Mortis, right? Which contradicts just so much of everything we've read so far. But instead of going back and editing the early ones or leaving them out entirely, he just put this in it. He just put his... I just don't know what to think anymore or why I exist. But yes, so basically the Rainbow King actually made the whole lot, which contradicts just about everything. And then somebody called the Terrible One turned up and fucked everything up. And I think that's Mortis, but it never actually says. So basically we got to chapter 2 and we've thrown everything we've learned so far out the window. And basically the Rainbow King made the universe now, who I suspect from reading this that Mortis the man in our universe also controls within the canon of the story, because so much of chapter 2 is dedicated to lyrics of the songs Rainbow King sings for some bizarre unknown reason. But let's do another cringe game, shall we? Because I'm going to read God of the World, the second poem in chapter 2. Whenever you cringe, just say the word. And also, I'll give you bonus points for... Don't say it out loud, all right? But just whenever you notice a poorly constructed sentence, just have a little thing. Right. Okay. And that is I as in yes. I, as the silent trolls wandered across rivers through forests dead and waste. Armies cruel and great broke up from the ground and destroyed 4 cities of sparkling beauty. I, as the Rainbow King was driven away and his only son was cursed for eternity and the trolls dug the deep dungeons and crypts of the tower. No fucking punctuation there. As this realm's legends were spun and beheld with awe, one single spirit flew into the shadows of a long winding river, following its streams until its ending in another dimension. Here becomes the cosmos one with spirits, the essence of me dwelleth here.
Cringe.
I built the mountain of spirits, the mountain that symbolizes the power and reign of the one, the master of spirits and stars. For long ago, I gathered spirits to become me. I became the mightiest spirit in the spirit world. The highest in its hierarchy. For ages long, I was humankind's chosen god. How I thrive in mankind's pain inflicted my now cosmic spirit name.
Cringe.
Okay, so you see how it doesn't evolve. I mean, these were written a couple of years later, apparently. But yeah, so I think what he's trying to do there, he's trying to say, okay, look, the Rainbow King created it, then I came along, right, and I was so fucking cool, right, that basically I took over, and that's how it worked. But so one of his albums, I think it's called Fata Morgana, and it's a side project of his, and I think he also made that album from the perspective of the Rainbow King. And can I just say one thing before we carry on? The Rainbow King is the shittest fucking name, isn't it?
Oh my goodness me.
Because I'm just imagining, well, like, not there's anything wrong with this, but I'm imagining somebody really flamboyant, and he tries to make these, and like flying on a unicorn that's fighting out a rainbow, and like sprinkling marshmallows all over the place. Do you know what I mean?
Robes on. Yeah.
Maybe in Norwegian, like, this has, like, it sounds cooler. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think it does. I don't think it does.
No. I just can't believe dwelleth. That's
Do you like my bedroom?
Where I dwelleth.
In chapter 2, he tries to go for pseudo-medieval talk, but he doesn't actually know how the words are used. And this is illustrated by the fact that his subscription-based thing on Bandcamp, he calls it Cult of the Black Wizards. The with 2 E's, right? The
Isn't
meaning...
that you?
Yeah, or your, right? So I beseech thee, Lord, right? So it's Cult of you Black Wizards. Cult of your Black... Yeah, I mean, fuck me. Are you fucking... But he tries it. He tries it in chapter 2 a hell of a fucking lot because, but it doesn't work because he doesn't know it. I mean, but it's fine. But whatever. Listen. What we're going to do now is I'm going to give you some highlights, right, from the rest of the book. This is basically because I got bored of reading it. But I think these highlights are kind of funny and it's going to be the form of a game. So I've got a list of 10 things that may or may not be part of the setting book, and you've got to tell me if it's Mortis or Mitis. As in, did this really come from the book or is it my creation? Just say true or false, because I couldn't think of a good name for this. All right, number 1, the tundra of self-loathing.
I don't... See, the hard thing is, it could be Mortis or it could be you being satirical of Mortis because it's so... it's a hard one. I think that's you.
I'm gonna vote you too.
No, that is a real place from the book.
What does the tundra of self-loathing look like? Is it just like, how could you describe that as a landscape?
Snow, I guess. I don't know. It's like tundras, they have very little emotion baked into them typically, but this one, it's fucking miserable. Maybe it's all the snow is made out of tears. Next one, a character called the Riddler.
Oh, that's fuck off. That's straight out of Batman.
Mm-hmm. But is that Mortis or is it Metis?
Mortis.
I'm gonna go Metis.
The Metis thing is so stupid. That is a real thing in the book. There's a poem dedicated to a character called the Riddler. I wonder if anyone's ever pointed out to him, that's a Batman thing. I've stolen the jewels, Mortis, and solved this riddle. Number 3, the boot of misery.
Metis.
Okay, just say. Okay, yeah, okay, fine. That is my one. Sorry, I spoiled that one. A poem entitled "Lend Me Your Staff of Wandering," and yeah is spelled Y-E-R. Lend me your staff of wandering.
That's
Mortis.
Correct, Amundo, guys. Lend me your staff of wandering. Oh God,
if you don't mind. I've lost mine.
Thank you.
On the tundra of self-loathing.
It's a horrible place up there.
It
really makes you think
myself.
about yourself. Number 5, a monster called the Muncher of Minds.
That's
got to be you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is me.
Muncher. Yeah.
Number 6, a character called the Scribbler of Destinies.
100% Mortis.
It's got to be Mortis.
Correct.
It's the ones that are trying. So from the trend I'm getting is like the ones that are. I don't know. You can tell he's trying there, can't you?
Yeah, and it's actually
Scribbler of Destinies. Who scribbles a destiny? Come on.
If it's a destiny, give it the fucking respect it deserves.
It needs, mate. Just at least a paragraph or types up. You know what I mean? He knocks them up on the back of like fag packets.
Yeah, it's just feel like writing a destiny. Someone get me. Has anyone got a napkin I can write on?
Yeah, here you go. There's your destiny, mate.
Sorry.
Okay.
It's got a bit of food in it.
That's fine. It's part of destiny. Number 7, a good counterpart to Mortis called Lestis.
Fuck off.
Shut up.
That's you, mate.
Correct. Number 8, the Spider King.
That better be you. Otherwise, it's been ripped straight out of Stephen King's Dark Tower as well.
It's Mortis, mate.
Yeah, unfortunately, that.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, he's nicked yet another thing. Number 9, the Kingdom of the Mongs.
You. The Kingdom of the Mongtis.
That's my kingdom.
That I actually struggled for a minute there because that's your kingdom, Nick. That's your new house that you've moved to. I struggled for a second. I was like, did I make that up? I mean, that's how bad this fucking book is. I was like, number 10, a poem simply called "I Am Hold."
Mortis.
Him.
It's about time. I bet it's about time.
Yeah, it's pretty much, it's him, but it's like, poetry is about coming up with a interesting way to say something, right? And you know, any other poet, like even a crap one, would instead of saying "I am old," it would be like, "I walk not in time," or something like this. Do you know what I mean? It's just I'm old.
Yeah.
I'm old.
I'm old. I'm old.
I am old.
So after these, and that was Mortis or Metis, but so after the second and final chapter, there are some bonus materials, and I think I'm just going to read the last poem out because we read the first one, and let me tell you, this is where Mortis had truly given up, both figuratively speaking and literally. And here we go. My eyes are empty, so they say. It makes me so angry. No love shineth through, they say. I don't know what you meant by that. I feel pain just like you. Why reveal my eyes, not the grieving soul within? They say eyes mirror the soul. Could it be that I have none? For if that be it, I am truly lost.
There's so much uncertainty.
It's just nothing, is it? I mean, there is almost...
Is this what I think it is, or maybe not? Who knows? That is life.
As a person that is...
That's like doing a string of saying like, oh yeah, potentially, maybe, perhaps, it could well be, perhaps, maybe, yes, but because
he's sitting on the fence for everything.
Because that's the trouble, right? Because I think he's more concerned with everything sounding mysterious. So when he wrote this book, Secrets of My Kingdom, what he really meant is you're not going to have any of the secrets of my kingdom. And it's like, but like if I was to write Mortis poetry, I'll do it right fucking now. How about this? I'll do like a live freestyle. In forests dark, I see lowly creatures. What secrets do they hold? What treasures in their hovels? Do you see?
Yep.
Upon my eyes I do gaze the endless horizon, or do I not? For I do not know what is beyond there. Wondering, questions, maybe it is time and soul.
You see, you've hit the nail on the head. This took 8 years to produce, Nick.
That's just words. Literally words.
It's just word soup.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like it's alpha spaghetti, man. Come on.
So, yeah, great setting book, basically. One of my favourites. But let's do a quick recap of everything we know about Mortis's world, right? And I'm going to include all of the other relevant details, all of the details I left out from the entire book, okay? And I'm going to include them all here within a little recap. So, it's a world created partially by a man, partially by a person that man's body used to hang out in for some reason. This was called Mortis, although it might have also been created by the Rainbow King. But Mortis can simply think things into existence, but decides arbitrarily not to most of the time. It's also mentioned at one point that he often creates stuff he doesn't like, only to destroy it for fun. Mortis accidentally created the universe so big he can't remember big parts of it, which is how the Rainbow King got away with existing for so long. There are goblins, trolls, starborn, and demons, and some vampires that exist. Mortis has a big tower, there's a crystal prison for some reason, and there's an endless desert which has a bunch of caves amongst it for some reason, and Mortis rides a unicorn. So what the fuck was the point in all of that, eh?
Wow.
If you want, and look, I'm not judging you. If you like this book and you want a book of 200 terribly written poems, 95% of which explain nothing and just go on about how miserable someone is, then this might be for you.
Yeah.
But it ain't for me. And just to prove that I'm not being fucking disingenuous and you know, taking everything out of fucking context, we are going to select a poem at complete random. One of you two, we'll go for James. James, pick a number between 1 and 149, and I will just read whatever poem comes up.
69.
Yay!
Nice.
I could have predicted that one. Towards the western wall of time, can you feel the rain? So heavy and sad in a way, falling. Can you see the sky? So dim and grey. Do you feel the heaviness, the sadness enter and possess your mind? A grammatical error there. A feeling of emptiness and nothingness. The feeling that surrounds the western shores. Here are stones and cliffs, always so wet, and the smell of rain and rotten grass floats along the ground. The only sound is the lonesome whispering wind and distant thunder made by those mighty spirits travelling with western winds. Spirits never walk among these trees. It's so empty. The moisture in the air make the freezing cold.
Oh my god.
You see,
if I could give this a genre, I'd call this faux. What would I call this? I'd call this faux bleak uncertainty.
Poetry.
Poetry.
Yeah, so, you know, we're reviewing this as a fantasy book, and that is what it is. Although it's a poetry book, it is supposed to be a setting book. It's supposed to elucidate the facts that were long hidden within his music, right? And you just don't get that. And I think we can agree that it fails in just about every regard, from the format to the world building to the awful writing. But at the back, there's a couple of really good interviews, including 2 with the man himself, but also the artists that helped this bring this book, well, not to life, but like they drew some great pictures, basically. I mean, you guys have seen the artwork.
Yeah, all of him though.
Yeah, the artwork's good. The
artwork is nice.
Yeah, it is good.
But he's a narcissistic prick because it's all him.
And on the cover art, they've sort of put a little border around the picture, and Mortis is holding his hand up, right? But the trouble is, you can only see his index finger and his thumb, so it looks like he's doing the loser sign.
Loser!
Hey, how many worlds have you created that's so big you can't remember that you don't really control because you can't be bothered? Loser!
Loser, I have.
Or have I?
You're a loser, or are you? No one knows of these secrets. But yeah, what's interesting though, right, is that they clearly didn't hire an editor or a proofreader for the interviews either, because they're riddled with grammatical and spelling errors.
No.
And you can tell that whoever transcribed the interviews was doing so from a dictaphone, which is common practice. But what's interesting is that most people who learn English outside of the UK tend to learn American English, right?
Yeah.
And tend to be taught to say words in that accent, at least like it seems in European language schools, right? And so at one point, the interviewer asks Mortis what his influences are, and he mentions Dragonlance, right? The D&D book series. The transcriber obviously misheard, because he obviously said Dragonlance, you know, like that. And so in the book it says Dragonlands. And what's interesting about that is RPGs were really popular amongst the black metal types at the time. A fact that Mortis very much doesn't want to admit. So when asked about RPGs, he claims to have never heard of Dungeons and Dragons, despite, right? He says he's never even heard of it, which is fucking impossible, because even my fucking mother-in-law has heard of it.
Yeah.
And and he's a huge Dragonlance fan. So obviously he knows what D&D is because he's read the D&D books. And he refers to RPGs as an attempt to distance himself from them. He refers to RPGs, he says, I've never played any of these Lord of the Rings games.
Fucking hell.
Before we wrap up this segment, it must be said that Mortis is not a native English speaker and did write this when he was a teenager. But the thing is, if I'd have written something this bad and said publicly that I don't want to republish it because I don't like it, I wouldn't republish it. There are more important things than money, and I think, and also, there are more important things than a shameless cash grab like this. I also think, considering that his English is a lot better now, he could, instead of just doing a lazy republishing in a random order of all of his stuff, he could have gone back and edited it and made it better and polished it.
Yep.
But the trouble is with that, if you take out all the guff and you retranslate it, you've only got 2 pages worth of material.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like it could have been a pamphlet.
Yeah, exactly. Mortis, the re-release of his long-forgotten pamphlet. Or is he re-releasing it? I don't know.
You tell me.
So yeah, what do you guys think? Nick, we'll start with you. What's your opinion on The Secrets of My Kingdom Returns to Dimensions Unknown?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, I think the title of the book sums up the content of the book. You ain't got a fucking clue. You walk in not knowing what's going on, you probably walk back out having no idea what's going on. That's pretty much it, isn't it?
So, you know what? Maybe joke's on us, you know, because it's like Secrets of My Kingdom. And, but what you, if he's got us, he wins.
Bastard. I'll tell you what, though, if I was waiting 18 years for that, wow.
But imagine waiting 18 years. Well, I obviously didn't listen to Mortis back in 1993, but imagine waiting a couple of years like I did to read this, buying it, selling it, then realising it would make good podcast material and buying it again.
Buying it again. Welcome back.
That's £80 I'll never get back for the worst book I've ever read in my life. Thanks.
We should auction it off.
I might sign it.
Yeah, there you
Mortis.
go. See, add a bit of... or is it? Question mark at the bottom.
Just put Mortis?
Yeah, it's you know, I mean, I'd love to think that there's some like scholarly types out there that really dig this and they sit and discuss, you know, and you know, like art, when anyone can kind of take away something from art.
Yeah, you can kind of push any meaning you want onto just about anything.
Exactly. So I hope there's some people that really like dig this because that's funny. But no, not for me, mate. I need a bit of structure. And I don't want and there's too much questions to the reader. That's the problem. Like you said, it doesn't tell you anything. I think the writer knows less than the reader does. That's what it seems.
That's true. I mean, there's a lot of details that I could infer about the setting that he probably does. He's never even thought about. Yeah, James, how about you? You like it?
No, I don't think it's even worthy of being, worthy of being read on the crapper or even being used to wipe your ass with, to be honest.
That's the trouble, isn't it? Yeah, that's the trouble. I mean, and the thing is as well, like, making it a £40 book, that I know there's a big fucking difference between an RPG book and, you know, a regular book, and this setting book is supposed to be a collector's item. But if he'd have printed it by a normal publishing company on a normal book format, he could have done this for a lot cheaper, and I wouldn't have been so scathing. Well, I probably would have still been so scathing, but the thing is, it's like...
He could have done a better job just having the artwork only. Just the artwork.
Yeah, totally. Like an art book of just his shizzle, maybe some interviews.
Yeah, that's it. A couple poems, just 2 poems, not sitting...
Just pick out the best ones.
Pick out the best of the shit and then just chuck those pictures in it and get more of them done. Because the artwork is the only good bit about it. That's it. And they weren't even done by him.
Or write poems about the fucking pictures.
Yeah.
More to go on.
Yeah. I mean, as I said, it fails in just about every regard. It doesn't tell a good story. The poetry, while evocative of a very specific kind of mood, really only does the same thing 200 times. And then... There's the fact that as a setting book it fails, as poetry it fails, as a story of any kind it fails, but it's not trying to be that, I guess. But as I look into the man's psyche, I suppose it shows how... Look, people say that musicians are stupid, right? And this book has convinced me that they are. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Alright, well, that is it for the worst fantasy book ever written. I was just about to throw it at my wall, but I don't want to damage the wall. It's quite heavy. Let's do some electro letters. I need some joy in my life.
Yes.
In the future, you will be able to send a letter or parcel from anywhere on the planet. This, sir, is the Electro letter.
So we asked your guys' opinions of is it possible for the GM to cheat? And what this basically stemmed from was I was having a chat with a mate down the pub about something that happened during a game I was playing, where the game was about a bridge where everyone would go to and they would disappear. Turns out it was kind of a weird game. The bridge was a giant mech and it was being operated by a panel underneath it, and the guy was sitting in there operating this giant mech, then going back to bridge form. Now, the thing is, during about the first 10 minutes of the game, one of the players who had the wall walking ability says, I'm going to check under the bridge. Goes under the bridge, rolls notice, gets a raise, right? And then the GM says, no, you don't find anything. You don't find anything. But when we get to the end of the game, the GM suddenly says, oh yeah, you find a door on the back. And we're like, okay, so you've blatantly ignored the rules there, right? And is that cheating? Is it possible for the GM to cheat? Because I told this to a mate of mine, and his opinion was, no, it's not possible. That's part of the job.
And that was cheating.
Yeah, I think it was too. But we'll get into our opinions, but we'll first have a listen to some of yours and see what we think of them. Yorkus Rex, he says, it's the prerogative of some GMs to cheat. I know many GMs that roll dice behind the screen and fudge results for the sake of storytelling. They reduce damage against PCs or declare monsters miss when they really hit. Yeah, they claim it's not cheating, but they are cheating players out of the full experience of the game. If a game has combat, then death is a possible outcome, and wrapping the players in protective padding and kissing them on the forehead is robbing them of true agency. Besides, if you cheat in their favour, what's to stop you cheating against them when situations change, like you're having a bad day or Stinky Bill ate the last slice of pizza without even chipping in a couple of bucks? Sorry, Stinks, that's the third crit in a row against your pizza scarfing dwarf. He's dead. Roll in the open, accept the results. You're playing a game with a story. You're playing a game with story elements, not the other way around. If it's important enough to roll, it's important enough to accept the consequences. Sure, your players might be trying to epically save the world, but part of the story is that along the way, Stinky Bill's dwarf failed a climb check and fell into an open sewer and drowned. R.I.P. Stinks. I certainly think that's one perspective, isn't it? And it's probably the one I share the most. I don't roll out in the open typically. I want to start doing it, but I sort of like the mystery a bit. Because, you say, for example, if I'm rolling to attack and a monster has a +3, and I roll, I get a 12, and I go, he got a 15, then the players know what the bonus is. Do you know what I mean? And I like that little bit of mystery where it's more about listening to how I've described the fight rather than just looking at the numbers. Do you know what I mean?
Totally.
I'm all right for that.
Yeah, and I don't mind rolling in the open at all. But, yeah, I mean, he's absolutely right when he sets a precedent, doesn't it? If you start cheating in their favour, and one day, Nick, let's say, you've slept with my wife, and I go to the game, then I could cheat against you. You cheated on me, so I'm going to cheat on you.
That's it, it's all different.
John Williams, he says, that is a good question, and that's where we'll leave that email. No, he says it certainly can feel like the GM cheats when it feels like they change the rules from what the players expected them to be, or nerfs a class/character ability halfway through the session, or something else that just goes against player expectations. For some games, it isn't cheating because the GM runs the game, clarifies the rules, or whatever, but it goes against the rule of cool to nerf players. Now, I've definitely... I've done that recently, and I don't know, James, if you think this was like a fair way of doing it, because sometimes I will realise that a ruling I've made on the fly will be overpowered, but I'm never going to do it mid-session and change it. I might start the next game and just go, look, I realised this ruling I made sucks. We're going to change it for this session. See what I mean? Do you think that's a fair way of doing it, James-o?
I think that's fair, because it's like, I think with our group at least, we've kind of got to this place where it's just like, you know what, if it's cool and quick, we'll double check the rules, but most of the time it's just like, fuck it, make it up on the fly, and then do some homework when there's no game happening, and then come back to the next session and just be like, right, I fucked up. This is how it's meant to be, or you know that thing. Yeah, that was pretty broken, so we're not using that anymore. And it's just easier because obviously you start a game with a certain understanding of the rules, so you're going to play it like that, and then it's a lot easier to deal with. And if it's just like, that's broken, you just might make a note in front of you instead of because you'll stop the momentum otherwise.
Yeah, and you also kind of cheat players out of doing their cool move. You know, like let's say for example in Tough Guys, if you guys went and just nicked a rocket launcher from somewhere, I'm not going to look up damage mid game. Most guns I could probably confidently say the amount of damage they do in Savage Worlds because there's not that much variant. But like, let's say for example you got the rocket launcher and I said, okay, that does 6d10 damage, right? And then I sort of later realised midway through the game, that's way too fucking powerful. Well, you're going to use it for the rest of the session because I made that fucking mistake. You get to do it. And then next session, I'll just go, look, we've all had fun with the explosions, all right?
Yeah, we've all had a laugh. We know 10d6 or whatever.
Yeah. So that's I don't know. I think that's a really...
It works.
Nothing mid-game, you're explicitly saying, you know... I don't like how well you're doing at the moment. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. I made a rule on the fly, and now I don't like the look of it. It's like, nah, you kind of got to stick with it for now, and then reassess it for the next one, which makes sense. Otherwise, you're gonna kind of, you know, be all over the place like in a game.
Yeah, totally.
Which sucks. You can have one session, and like, you know, if you change it midway, it could have took a boss out in one go.
Just
and
go
then
for
before
it.
you know it, you know.
You did with your Cypher game. It was a system you didn't really know, and then
no, that's right.
Rather than because we're doing shorter games and. You know, you just would, here's a ruling, let's carry on. Do you know what I mean? And then maybe look up next game, well, maybe don't. Who cares? If it worked, stick with it. I mean, that's the good thing about Savage Worlds is that I know it fairly well. I wouldn't say I'm an absolute expert, but I know it pretty well. So at the moment, it's not really an issue. But yeah. Terry Hansen, he says, cheating is the best part of being a GM. Shut it.
Get out, Terry.
Shut up. Shut it. Luis Pineda, yes. However, if he's going to do it to move the story forward or to keep a role from totally derailing a game, it's excusable. I agree, Luis, but there are a few circumstances where I will do it. At the moment, in our games, I pull absolutely no punches, whether it happens within the first 5 minutes or at the end. But usually, if you've just started a campaign and they're about to die... Yeah, I will likely cheat to save a party from a TPK, although in my entire RPG career, I haven't had a TPK, I don't think, except for con games. So, you know, I mean, but I'll often be really explicit about the fact that I am cheating. For example, like if I am just going to save you from a bullet that's going to kill you, I'll be like... And then at last minute, your mate jumps in front of it, and you see her get torn apart, and then it'll be like, "Oh shit, we need to run." That type of thing. So it's more like giving you a hint.
It'll be like, "Here you go. Yeah. This is how fragile you are. Run away."
Exactly.
Yeah. Totally. Stephen Van der Veire says no. The GM runs the game if they want a role. The GM runs the game how they want. If a role doesn't go their way, they have creative license to adjust, in my honest opinion, in the name of a better story/gaming experience for all. Also a very good perspective, and one that I don't necessarily mind, really. A good example, and we spoke about this in our horror episode as well, is that during the DCC campaign we played on AP... and there was a guy that you totaled really early on, and the adventure was supposed to be about outrunning this mad killer called Mike while you're going through the desert.
Yeah.
And I just made him unkillable. You could stop him if you shot him and he went down to 0 HP. He would stop, but he'd get back up. That was sort of how I made it horrific. But it was a decision I made on the fly where I sort of cheated. Because I was like, maybe I didn't make him too powerful enough, and we were recording an AP. I can't rewrite this adventure midway through, you know. And I was like, yeah. So you know, I guess I did there, and you know what? It's something I share the opinion of, that sometimes it's okay to keep the story moving, to do a little bit of
totally agree.
Yeah, but
we're playing to an audience, so that's completely forgiven.
And that's a dramatic, that's a dramatic
if we were
thing,
like
isn't it?
Around the table, it really is situational, isn't it? Because if it's like, if you're just fudging...
Those games are not like normal table games, but the main reason being is that you guys kind of have to have 100% buy-in to the scenario.
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? Because there's nothing else happening. But like, that's really the major difference. But yeah, and that time I was like, this isn't something I would usually do, but this is for an entertainment purposes, so I'm doing it.
Well,
Fuck
this is it. Exactly.
But yeah, and I don't know, like, I don't really fall on the same side of the coin as Stephen, where it's like, you know, I run it how I want, I'll cheat all the, you know, if it's for the story. But occasionally I do fall on that side of things. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so Daniel Owen, we'll make this one the last one because we actually got a hell of a lot. But Daniel Owen, he says, possible? Yes. Recommended? No. Sounds like a Mortis poem.
Yeah.
I understand that sometimes don't provide the greatest suspense or drama, or do they? But that's what the dice are there for. To decide that they are optional, to me anyway, ruins the idea of it being an RPG. If someone is going to overrule what the dice say, even if it's in favour of the rule of cool, it's probably better suggested not to roll the dice at all. Screwing the players over plot-wise, however, is the purview of the GM. As long as it's not simply to get the players and make sense, this is what makes the game interesting. And yeah, like for example, when you guys came back to the Chippy, leaving only Keegan and Ian Beale in charge, the two biggest idiots in the world. And then I said, you know, your shop has been smashed up. I could have rolled something, but I didn't, because I just thought that makes sense within the story.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It did make sense.
Yeah, of course.
Completely. We were accepted. Our fate.
But it's like if you rolling and then rolling, you know, and just going, yeah, he hits you for like 20 damage, bro. Like you're fucking dead, innit? I mean, that's out of order. Like,
yeah.
I see what you're saying, because, you know, fudging, it denies the players a part of the game, but then sometimes you've got to do it, like, you sit down at a session, somebody dies within 5 minutes. But then, you know, you are, I suppose, cheating players or something out of the game. But then if it's a system where it takes ages to create a character, I'm likely just going to go, look, you've only been in 5 minutes. I'm just going to fudge it. Do you know what I mean? Because imagine creating a D&D character midway through a game.
Totally.
No thanks. But in all the games that we tend to like, you can roll up one pretty quickly.
That is true.
So yeah, Nick, we'll start with you. Is it possible for the GM to cheat?
Yes, it is. Of course, it is. To what end is the question for me. So when I first started GMing, I was very, very conscious of not having everyone die. I was also very, very conscious on whether my game was going to be OP, which I think is probably a common thing with confidence, I guess. And I was really worried. So yeah, I was really, really scared that people would die and great characters that had been made were in trouble. And the first ever campaign I did. I did keep you safe a little bit to start with.
Yeah, but the thing is, like you said, it comes with confidence and knowing, you know,
yes.
One thing you learn quite quickly as a GM is that players will do anything to get out of a bad situation. And so look at, like, with the first few sessions of your Savage Worlds campaign, it was like, you know, you would be like 1 zombie or 3 zombies most. But then we had the point where they were surrounding the fucking stairwell and I threw that kid in to feed them, to distract them.
Mate.
So, I mean, but you, it's just that I don't think is... Well, yeah, I suppose it is cheating the rules a little bit, but then... To an extent, it's just something
By
you
definition,
learn.
yeah.
It putting a powerful encounter that's too powerful for the PCs, it's just another type of scenario. It's not a bad thing to do. Look at DCC. Like, literally, most of that game, that campaign ended up with you guys running around things instead of fighting them. Because it was like...
That's brilliant.
It's 2 people in a DCC campaign. It's like half a D&D character. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's so true. But no, so yeah, for that, but... You know, when you get a bit more experience under your belt and whatnot, then I just let the dice do the rolling, really, because, you know, the unpredictability of it makes it exciting.
Yeah, I mean,
and also, if you fudge to start with and then decide to stop, you know, players going to pick up on that.
Yeah.
Why were we so lucky for 3 weeks and now we can't? You know, yeah, I don't know, and you lose consistency. So it's a dangerous game to play.
I got accused of fudging in my Cyberpunk campaign. Because right at the end, my mate Katie, she said to me, how much do you influence the game? Because right at the end, they just started doing well. And I'm like, no, you just started rolling higher. Pay fucking attention.
Yeah,
it was kind of funny because it was like throughout the game they couldn't roll shit, and they turned up to the race, which was like, you know, the final encounter. They turned up to the race battered and bruised, and, you know, minuses to all their rolls, but they just suddenly started getting crit after crit after crit, and I'm like, this was supposed to be my big cool encounter, and they just absolutely fucking burnt rubber. And did amazing,
mate. But that's the dice gods, though. You can't
sometimes,
argue with
when
that,
it syncs up like that, when it's like, can we do this? I just thought they're all going to die. They're definitely all going to die.
Yeah, totally. Give it a shot, but never
James,
mind. And then, you know, the dice gods think differently.
What do you think? Possible for the GM to cheat, and should they?
See, I think you can. So we've already established. I think you can forgive sort of beginners' lack of knowledge. And that, but I think GMs can cheat. I think it's quite easy. It can be quite easy because they can pull punches, they can make punches, and they can basically pull the rug out from under your feet. They can allow you to, you know, this has happened as the dice have played out. But where we set on a maiden voyage of like a ship that we had taken many sessions to build up.
Oh my god!
And then the dice just fucked it, and that was the dice. But as a GM, you could have just done that because you'd be like, they've got this super
dice and Ryan. I would argue, fucked
but
it.
It's like you could do that, but that would be cheating because what you're doing there is you're trying to push the players into a situation that you control as the GM. Whereas if you just roll with the dices, it's just like, right, well
I've often found this a kind of a good way of doing things, right, is that, like, there's certain ways you can stay within the rules and manipulate it, or just you learn ways if you do have a more linear story, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you do have a more linear story, you learn what makes the players tick. Do they, if you want them to if you want to get them to go there, do they respond to their stuff being stolen? Do they respond to people that need help? Whatever. You learn over time, and then with you guys, it's pretty much money. But mostly
stuff,
money and stuff.
I like acquiring things. So
you do.
Rather than the cash, I'd like to, if we raid some sort of shop, I like to think, right, how can we own this shop?
That's what it always is, isn't it? Yeah. But you kind of learn these things, and it's really hard to know at first. And I think this is probably why a lot of early GMs fudge, because it's really hard to know that you can't know the skills for funding players and things like this, or totally. if you haven't tried it, and you do just have to give it a go. And I guarantee anybody on their second go, they'll realise that the story can happen even without a single fudge. Do you know what I mean? You can just go,
yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes it does result in a bit of piecing together and changing stuff, but that's part of the fun. And also, just a little thing for any, like, if you're doing a mystery thing or you want players to follow a trail of clues. All I do nowadays is I just write down the events and how they happened. And the good thing is you'll notice there'll come up other opportunities where they can find the thing. Do you know what I mean? So they're doing a murder investigation and the bloke used a knife and threw it under the couch, right? So let's say, for example, what you want the player to do is to search under every surface, right? But let's say they go into a kitchen. They go, do I notice anything here? Well, then you could just say, well, there appears to be one of the knives is missing, and you don't find it in the dishwasher. You don't see it in the sink. Like little things like that. But little techniques like that, it's like, I'm still using the rules. I'm not fudging it so that you succeed and just saying, oh, yeah, you take longer, but you find it. Do you know what I mean? I'm still using the rules.
Yeah, totally.
But it's like those little techniques, they take a bit of time to learn, and it can be hard, and that's, I think, why most GMs do fudge at some point. But yeah, I mean, this fucking campaign, I don't have any, the tough guys one, I don't have any notes. There's no railroad to be honest. You guys are doing the shit.
Your notes
do you know what I mean?
Come during and after the game.
Totally.
That's
all it is. Yeah.
And most of them these are loads of situations that you as the players have made. So it's this is food for thought, and that's it. So all you do is just like, right, you've done all of this with a little bit of assistance from me as the GM to flesh out the situations you're in. But other than that, it's like, okay, what do you want to do, because you're making it happen, and you're just facilitating the game that we're all playing, really.
That's the beauty of it, though, because it's like, at this point, Yeah, this game has really taught me more than anything else the real power of having a fully player-led campaign, because I'm literally like, at the point, stupid shit's going to happen, uncinematic shit's going to happen, but that is also the story at this point. I mean,
we love it. We love
at the beginning of this
uncinematic
campaign,
shit.
I could have never predicted that we'd be doing a heist to steal Magic the Gathering cards.
No.
You know what I mean?
Totally, yeah.
Streaking down a football pitch.
In a gangster film. Yeah,
But we've got a final question in here from John the Paladin, and it came via email. I think we should answer this and then we'll move on with our lives. Because he's got he sent like a bunch of questions in for us. So he says, "Greetings, 3T lads. I really enjoyed the Dungeon Synth episode. Enjoyed listening to your recommendations and thought I'd message you to get some more recommendations for other mediums. As such, I've attached a bunch of questions, some weird, some not. You don't have to answer them all. Top 3 movies is the first one. Top 3 movies. So we won't go into too much detail, but yeah, James, top 3 movies.
Oh God, District 9.
Good choice.
Fucking shit. I'm just gonna pull some out of my ass. The Mask.
You love The Mask, man.
It's a good film.
Rush Hour.
It isn't. I forgot about Rush Hour. That is easily one of my favourite. Me and James do like a yearly watch of the Rush Hour movies.
Yeah, man.
Nick, how about you?
Me, I'm going to go for favourite films: True Romance,
another good
Fear
one.
and Loathing in Las Vegas, and
Also good.
My last film will be, what's my favourite film? Shit.
Girls Gone Wild 2.
Yeah, that's it. As good as that is. No, let's go for.
You watch it for the plot.
Yeah, exactly, mate. Exactly.
Debbie Does Dallas.
I've got loads, but let's go Battle Royale. That's a classic. That's a great.
He's a
film.
good man.
Such
you guys
a
have all
good
picked
film.
films I wanted to pick. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is one.
Yeah, very
It's
good.
a mad world is 2. It's like the best comedy movie ever made.
Yeah.
And 3 is probably Mad Max 2. Those are probably because mine change all the time. Those are probably my current ones.
That's it.
Yeah. What are your top 3 books?
Oh, that's easy.
Nico? Yeah, I think mine are going to be similar.
My number 1 book of all time is George Orwell, 1984. Absolutely love that book. What else do I like? Oh, Jesus, I thought that was easy, but then...
The Dark Tower, Nick. I can't believe you haven't mentioned that.
Well, that was going to be my last one, of course. Stephen King's Dark Tower. Well, pretty much everything, most things that Stephen King has written. Is up there for me.
I'm gonna go for The Count of Monte Cristo.
Nice,
I really like.
Good book. Yeah.
Probably Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. That's a good one.
Yeah, okay, yep.
And do you know what? I really, really like The Name of the Wind series by Patrick Rothfuss, but it's not finished. And I have to say, I absolutely fucking love it. But
Nice.
I'm going to put as my final book probably... Oh, it's got to be the Discworld. Guards. That's it,
Oh my
yeah.
God, how could I forget about Guards? Yeah,
Absolutely
I absolutely love
fantastic.
Guards. I'm surprised Dante's Inferno's not on there. Do you remember when I was like, you should read that? And you was like, yeah, well.
I read it and
took
then
it on holiday with you.
I did a freestyle rap about it on our group, if you remember. It was about the 9 levels of hell, and it was like really bad. White man rapping.
It was wicked.
James Clark, how about you? Top 3 books?
I don't think I read enough to answer this question properly, so I'm going to say the Old Testament, the
one.
New Testament, and the Book of Hymns.
No, this is like Desert Island Discs. You can't pick the Bible or all the complete
already
works
there.
of Shakespeare. You read a couple of books recently. Which ones did you like?
Fuck, I can't even...
And don't say porn books.
porn books.
Sexy books.
Can I have a porn book, please?
The Woods by Harlan Coben.
Good choice.
Yeah.
All right, he John the Paladin then says, what TV shows are you watching at the moment? And we'll throw this to James first of all, because you are more of a TV sort of guy than...
Yeah, I'm watching The Flight Attendant at the moment, which is pretty decent. It's on Sky. It's worth a look in. I'm also re-watching for the umpteenth time Death Note, but this time with my girlfriend and my daughter.
Yes!
So it's wicked. We're getting near. We're in
Very
the 20s of the episodes at the moment, and everything's just all gone fucktown. And I'm just like, yes, it's back.
That's such a great series, man. It's like... It's the one anime I can actually kind of take seriously, even though it's got a lot of the stupid elements in it.
And another one, RuPaul's Drag Race. I'm watching different series with different people. So I watched the latest UK one. I'm watching the first UK one with my daughter, and then I'm watching some of the original American ones with my girlfriend.
Ooh.
The first UK one was awesome, and one of the favourite contestants is Bagger Chips, which I just think is a great name.
Bagger Chips.
Yeah, because you know how like drag in this country is somewhat different to American. It's less about the glam element, and it's more about bawdy, working men's club entertainment.
Right? Yeah, Lily Savage.
And that's why I think, exactly. That's why I think the UK one's so good. But you watched the season 6, is it the one I told you to watch, James?
Yeah, we watched that one. That was good.
That's great. It's got one of my favourite quotes of all time, and I can use it as a jingle. But there's basically they do this, like The Apprentice, You're Fired, the sub show thing. They do one in RuPaul's Drag Race, Nick, which is called Untucked, and it's basically all of the contestants arguing backstage. And there's this great quote that everyone always quotes, and where people are having a go at this this drag, I don't know what to say, like lady or whatever. Anyway, they're having a go at this woman who's man dressed as a woman called Laganja Extravaganza.
Yeah.
Nice.
Right, and they're all having a go at him, and then they're like, we're not trying to attack you, and he just yells at the top of his voice, "Well, I feel very attacked!" And there's also a bit where one of my favourite contestants, Adore Delano, she's like walking
looks
around
like, just like Katy Perry.
Yeah, quite a lot, and he just goes, "I'm sorry for crying all the time," and it just, that line, I don't know why, it just cracks me up. He's got such a distinctive voice. Yeah. How about you, Nick? What are you watching at the moment?
So I wrapped up Parks and Recreation, which I absolutely loved, and then I got that got me onto The Office, the American Office, which I'm currently watching. Season 3 I'm on. And what else did I watch? Just been watching some easy breezy comedy at the moment, and Superstore.
That's good, man.
It's quite funny. I watched the whole thing of Superstore, which is again a comedy show set in basically Walmart, if you like.
It makes me so happy that you're finally watching the American Office, because it is fucking good. Like, it's different to the English one, but
it's so cringy,
great.
but it's fantastic. So yeah, I love it. Very good.
It's good cringe.
Well, yeah, I've been watching. Well, it's a bit embarrassing, isn't it? Because I only watch really, really terrible TV shows. And I've got to tell you, I was the most thrilled I've ever been recently, because they put 2 new series of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills on Netflix. So, I don't usually like that type of reality show, but this one's particularly good because it's mental. And I just wanted to see the origin of where that meme, the one where this woman is screaming at that.
Like the cat.
Yeah. So the screaming half of the picture comes from that show, and it's called the episode is called Malibu Beach Party from Hell. And it
sounds like a book.
It is one of the worst, most cringe moments of TV I've ever seen, and it is fucking great. But on a better note, because I love trash TV. I'm sorry, but I've also I've been watching Love Island as well, Love Island Australia, and but on something actually good, I've been watching the new series of this time with Alan Partridge started.
Yes.
Fuck me, is that? It's so funny. It's like, basically, listeners, a spoof version of really light entertainment, educational / news shows that are on mid-afternoon. Yeah. And it's so fucking well acted, and it's just so cringe, and there's so many little bits of story that you see just by the way people act, or the way they will say something. Like, there's a point where they're doing a section on body language, and one of the hosts is like, somebody might cross their legs and his co-host just goes, if they've promised to show a brand of socks on TV, and then he just uncrosses his legs. And it's like little things like that. Like, it just, I fucking love it. It's so good.
He's a genius, isn't he?
All right, we've got a couple more of these questions, and we'll wrap up, all right? But I'm quite enjoying them. So, favourite places to eat out? I'm going to go first on this.
Nowhere. Pandemic. Sorry.
Shut up. No, but let's pretend for a minute that we're allowed our freedoms, because this is America, right? Favourite places to eat out. I think, should we take fast food as a given, right? We all like fast food, right?
Yeah, we're talking restaurante.
Restaurante, sit down. Well,
sit down, meal.
I actually have a really big soft spot for Frankie and Benny's and Wagamama, but it's like, Frankenbenny's is like an English imitation of American food, and Wagamama is like an English interpretation of Japanese food, right? Yeah. But I like them both quite a lot.
Yeah.
They're fucking great.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough.
It's a shame because the Frankenbenny's, and I know you're going to cringe, but I was young, all right? It was the first date I went out on with my wife. We went to Frankenbenny's. It's like so not a romantic restaurant.
Was it Pearly Way Corridor?
No, it's we had one in Red Hill. So it's even worse.
I thought you might... because we had... everyone used to go there because it's on like a complex, well, where the cinema is.
Yeah, so Frankenbenny's. But I'd say... no, I was going to say a pretentious answer. No, go on. James, what's your favourite?
Oh, well, it's got to be your bog standard Nando's.
You and chicken.
It's
like you're such a stereotype, James.
I
chicken
know.
And rice.
Chicken rice. No, actually, to be fair, his favourite place to eat out, yeah, that's definitely up there. If I had to choose just some random ones, I'd say there's a wicked Filipino place called, I think it's Lubo. Is it Lubo? Can't remember. Maybe that's wrong. But anyway, it's in Earls Court, and it's fucking awesome. It's like...
Nice.
It's like
Love to go there someday.
Family run, and it's like proper authentic Filipino food. So fucking go there. It's awesome.
Good boy. You owe some money, Lubo.
I don't think it's that. It's Lupong Lupong Pinoy, I think, is actually it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, fuck it.
So,
I'll find it and I'll send it to you, lads. It's great.
Very nice.
Please.
And then another one. I was going to say Waggers as well. You can't really
beat it, man. Great prices, pretty decent food, and to be fair, for all you people out there moaning that it's not authentically Japanese, they say it as well. So it's Japanese inspired food.
Yeah,
there you go.
Fucking good. But yeah, fucking. James once said to me, Nick, because you know James loves Nando's. Anything to do with chicken, you would eat chicken for every meal if you could, and a snack, and drink it if there was such a possibility, right?
Yeah, just broth, mate.
Yeah, so well, James was going on holiday and they had a Nando's at the airport, and so James ate chicken for breakfast, and he was talking about like he discovered the secret to turning like water into gold, right? Because he was like, I had chicken for breakfast. Chicken for breakfast. It's amazing. And James, you live on you've got your own flat. You could have chicken for breakfast anytime you want.
Anytime you want,
no,
mate.
Especially since your scam when you were stealing chicken from Gainsbury's.
Didn't do anything. They had
allegedly
they had Nando's Benedict. It was like their take on fucking eggs Benedict, but they had their own sort of sauce, and then obviously the meat part of it was the chicken. I thought this is fucking A. This is fucking
that does
A.
sound fucking good, actually.
One thing I've got to say about Nando's is even their hottest sauce ain't hot.
Yeah. It's for wimps.
It's fucking wimpy. Yeah, there's no spice there.
But that's the trouble. That's the trouble with eating out. You never really get anything truly spicy, do you? Because they've got to cater for the.
I don't even get a sweat from Nando's ever.
Me and James once a while ago, and this is getting off topic, but we used to make a really crap YouTube series, which fortunately is no longer available. But we did one because the county that we live in is called Surrey, so we did a challenge, the hottest curry in all of Surrey.
But we only went to 3 towns.
Yeah, but we went to 9 restaurants in one evening and asked them to give us the hottest thing on the menu, and then we'd try it out. And it ended up being so expensive because a lot of them wouldn't allow us just to sit down and order one thing. They would say, well, you have to buy a round of beers, or you have to get some rice with it. Do you know what I mean? And it ended up costing us a fortune. And when they're trying, they can really actually, curry houses in general, you can get hot stuff there.
Yeah.
But there was one point where James was like, the last one. He was like, don't tell them to make it too spicy. Don't do it. And I was like, as James went to the toilet, I said to the guys, can you just go fucking buck wild on this shit? And we heard them laughing from the other room. Like, as soon as you went in.
They were in the kitchen, they were laughing. I didn't know what they were laughing about until he fucking told me.
It was literally, it hurt so much. Yeah, James didn't know why they were laughing. And when we left the restaurant, can I tell them what happened?
Wait a second before you do. And of course you can, but wait a second before you do. So it was so spicy that nothing would quench the spice. And if anyone's ever fainted, that feeling of being faint, I was stuck in the middle of feeling faint.
Oh,
that feeling, I was just that delirious motherfucker from the spice.
He was like sweating, crying. He looked like he had like the flu, like. And then what happened afterwards is we were walking home, and I was obviously filming James's face like all in pain.
Yeah.
And he'd brought a couple of supplies along to help with the spice, right? So he had like bread rolls and lemons and salt and things like this, right? So anyway, we get halfway down this residential road, and it's about half an hour walk in either direction, right? And there's no loos. There aren't any. And suddenly, the need to shit hits James so hard. He has to bend over on a patch of grass by the side of the road. And just
There's a
shit.
bush. There's a bush,
It
mate.
was like a bush, yeah. And I started filming him. So I saw James's shit literally coming out of his arse, and he was going, "Stop filming me!" and then because we had nothing to wipe with, he used a couple of bread rolls and left them there.
They're not for your ass. Oh, God.
To be fair, John the Paladin, he comes in with a couple more questions, but I think we're going to leave it there because I don't think we're going to top the shit story. That was our favourite places to eat out. So
I didn't do
shall
mine.
we do an
Wait.
outro? Oh, you didn't?
I don't actually
Nobody
know.
cares.
No, I don't.
No, go
I'll do one. I like a nice steak, so I don't mind Miller and Carter.
You've been to Buenos Aires, the Argentinian
I
one?
have, yeah, that's banging as well. Can we just do the top
Fucking good,
wrestling
man.
moves, please?
Okay, all right. Okay, top 3 wrestling moves. Mine, punch. 2, clothesline. 3, I'm quite a big fan of the Hurricanrana.
Yeah. When he goes wiggles around him and then does it into a DDT.
Yeah.
Very good. I love the absolutely love the crossface chicken wing. If ever anyone remembers that.
Yeah, it's got such a good name as well.
Yeah, because of the name.
The crossface chicken wing.
The reverse DDT is always. The Rock used to do a fantastic reverse DDT.
Yeah.
And the last one was, do you remember? I can't remember what it was called now, but I think it was Goldberg, and he'd hold him up in a suplex for absolutely ages, and then he'd drop him, swing him, and slam him.
Fucking Goldberg was my favourite wrestler of all time,
what a
man.
machine.
But when he went over to WWE, they made him less powerful.
Yeah,
The cool thing is, I love the way like Goldberg's thing was that he would just like eat hits. Like somebody would smack him full on in the head with a chair, and then he'd just be like, boom, and he would just still stand up.
Yeah.
He was amazing.
He was.
Are you a fan of like, some wrestling moves? You get like the technical ones, like Goldberg's suplex or the figure 4 with Ric Flair.
Yeah.
But then you get some that the power comes from the fact that it's a special move, like the people's elbow or the Stone Cold Stunner's another one. It's like the 2 middle fingers. That's part of the move.
Yeah.
That makes it more damaging.
Absolutely, yeah, it does. It does. Oh god, yeah.
In our primary school, we if you got done doing stupid shit on break, you had to go and face a wall. And I was about to Stone Cold Stunner somebody, and I put the 2 middle fingers up. And my teacher, a guy called Mr. Featherstone, he was just behind me, and he went, "Harrison!" And I was like, "Oh,
I didn't get to do it."
Oh man, stupid. But yeah, James, you got top 3 wrestling moves?
Yeah, suplex,
Nice.
people's elbow,
Nice.
and wait a second, I had another one in my head as well.
Oh my god, I just remembered, sorry. We always used to play wrestle when we were kids, and we really would actually hurt each other.
Oh, yeah.
I remember, do you know the move, the Russian leg sweep?
Yeah. Oh
It's
my
like
god.
one of the
you've just
shittest
moved
moves in
their leg
wrestling.
out from under him. Yeah.
Yeah,
oh, no.
but my,
yes, I'm thinking of a different one.
My
Yep.
brother's mate, he was a guy called Greg, and his finisher was the Russian Greg sweep, which I just thought was really fun.
Very good.
I know that that thing that the face claw thing where they just stomp on
mandible
the floor.
claw.
Oh, the Mandible
Mankind.
Claw by Mankind. Oh my god, that was horrible. He put a sock on and then just basically choke them out from inside their
That
mouth.
dirty old sock. I was rewatching Hell in the Cell with Mankind and Undertaker
Oh my
recently.
God.
That
Most epic
that was
wrestling match ever done.
absolute peak of WWE,
it was.
man. It was so fucking good.
The Attitude Era or whatever it was. Oh mate.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was the best. And
Yeah.
it was at the same time we had the NWO era in WCW, which was
yeah.
fucking great.
Sting.
Loved it. Yeah, Sting, man. Good old Sting.
I think he's still going.
Yeah, I think he is as well. I saw that Undertaker's still at it, man. He's like
bless him.
60.
He's got to pack it in. Bless him. He's done. He has paid his service to the sport. Like
He did the best match in WWE history.
Yeah.
Let him go.
Yeah, no one can. No, Taker is the ultimate wrestler. Like just through going for so long and being so consistent. Like let him retire for God's sake.
Well, quickly, favourite wrestlers. I have to say mine was Goldberg, and I really liked Rey Mysterio Jr. as well.
Yeah. If we're going back to that day, it was all of them really. But fucking hell, I loved the whole Kane and Undertaker brother thing. That was great. And Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock were my favourite back then. They were great.
James, you didn't really watch any, but do you have a favourite?
Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, not bad shout. He was a laugh. He had a really powerful leg drop. Do you remember? Like any leg drop through the game was fine.
It's so funny. That's how you can tell that somebody's from the old school wrestling, because a leg drop would be a finisher. Do you know what I mean? Like, a leg drop is like such a blasé move that you chuck out of nowhere. But that was another move where it's like, the move was powered by him doing that hulking up. You know,
Yeah, that was it. That's it.
Hulkamania's going wild, brother.
He did the ear thing. But one of the most vicious looking moves, and it was literally just a smash. But it was, do you remember the clothesline from hell? And it was done by one of them two guys. I can't remember if it was Bradshaw or whatever. And he literally just floored them with a really powerful clothesline.
Oh, it was Scott Steiner, wasn't it?
Maybe as well.
Was it?
Yeah, Scott Steiner did as well. But I'm sure when that was that whole thing, when it was Thingy Bradshaw and that other guy, I can't remember. They were like corporate protection or whatever. I can't remember what they were called now.
Oh yeah.
But yeah.
All right. Well,
anyway,
we better leave it there. I mean, he did ask us a couple of other questions: top 3 vampires and top 3 board games. But we're gonna have to leave that because we're already at 2 hours.
Oh bloody hell, we're still chatting. Okay, we can pick them up next time.
Let's do an intro. So an intro. Right, we're starting again. All right, we're going again.
Welcome to Marbles.
How am I supposed to feel in this moment? Garja, I didn't want to make it that everybody was attacking you. I feel very attacked.
Relax.
Just, don't forget to go and look at Savage Con on Facebook and sign up to a couple of games. Additionally, 3trpgpod@gmail.com to email us. And don't forget to donate on Patreon because that way you keep the show going during these trying times. I would also like to say, if you want to hang out on the streams, YouTube isn't really where our main output is, although all the podcasts are on there, but subscribe to the YouTube channel and... yeah, if you want to come and hang out on the fucking Resident Evil streams, I'm trying to get Nick to do a stream, and I really want him to do a really chilled out golf stream.
Yes.
Playing some golf games.
That'd be fun, wouldn't it?
I've got everybody's golf.
And maybe,
so.
what you could do, and everybody's golf is a cracking game, but what you could do is get the chat to be your caddy, and they pick what club you use and shit like this.
That'd be so much fun.
That'd be fucking great, right?
Let me get settled in and set up, and then I'll start getting it done.
Awesome. And, well, that is it. I've been Harrison Hunt.
I've been Nick Lambslice.
And I've been James Pumpkin Clark.
And remember that D20s are cool, but 20Ds, now that's a good thing right there.
Or is it?
Cringe one, guys. We spent too much time together, isn't it? All right. See you later, lads.